It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Andy Anako's here. Jason Snell is not. Micah Sargent's filling in for him. Alex Lindsay is also. We're going to talk about the Apple announcements this morning, including new AirPods, new Apple Watches, new iPhones. We'll break it all down for you next on MacBreak Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 989, recorded Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Orange is the new black. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the post-Apple jaw-dropping event episode. Jason Snell is in Cupertino, so Micah Sargent has agreed to stick around after our coverage of the Apple event in the club. Hi, Micah.
Hello, Leo.
Good to see you and your
Good
mustache.
To see you as well. Thank you.
I think, is this the debut of your mustache on the...
on MacBreak, I believe
yes,
so.
I believe so. So I should explain to people why it looks like Tom Selleck has joined us. I know it's confusing, but it's not. Good to see you, Micah. Of course, host of Hands on Tech and Tech News Weekly and iOS
Today, Hands on Apple. I try to do it all.
regular, just a regular guy. Also here from the library, Andy Hanatko. Hello, Andrew.
Hey there, Heather. Oh, there.
Did you watch the event?
Yes, I did. I was very excited to watch a pre-recorded thing from start to finish.
Good. All right. We'll talk about the announcements. Yep. And then also Alex Lindsay. I know he watched in office hours.
Here's the worst part is that I got pulled into a work meeting, so I have seen highlights of it, but I didn't get to see the whole thing.
Oh, good. So you'll let us explain what happened.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was going to ask you because
there's a couple things I know, but
for one thing, this was an hour and 11 minutes, which is an odd length.
Yeah, that usually means that they really felt like everything was necessary. That's my guess, because normally you would try to go down to an hour if you were an hour
or up to an hour and a half.
Well, you wouldn't want to. I think that one of the great things about it being pre-recorded is that there's no reason to go up. Like you're not going to add unless you really feel like if you get an odd number, because we've had a couple of these keynotes come back at 59 minutes or 60 minutes, and you know that they just went, okay, that's the target. Here, they obviously cut it down. I don't know. Obviously, I think they cut it down. And then I said, well, we got to put this in. Like, this is worth it. And probably people fought for it. But I'm glad that it didn't go to some of them were starting to get kind of long. And so it feels like they were efficient.
Yeah. I thought that this was the longest, the longest pre-canned video for their concept of buy an Apple Watch because otherwise you and your loved ones will all die horribly. It was a long that was a long stretch for that video. It seemed to go on kind of forever. It seemed like
I feel like okay. So what we often look for in these, and thanks to you, Alex, is an inopportune edit. And there was this moment at the very end when we went from the iPhone Pros, and we went to a long. Well, that didn't show up here, but a long fade to black, like longer than it felt like it needed to be. And Tim and I was thinking, is that an edit point? And I thought maybe this is a longer show that they didn't. I don't know. No,
it's unlikely. I mean, they a lot of the stuff gets.
So done. An hour and 11 is exactly how long it needed to be, no more, no less.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Enough conspiracy theory.
I mean, I feel as though they know that they've got the audience that are tuning in for this, and there is lots of space they could cut. All the drone / helicopter shots of every time they switch to a new topic. Let's take a helicopter from Marin to Miami to talk about this.
I think that's actually the most important part of the whole thing.
Yeah, again, it's something they could cut. I don't.
Well, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying it was long. I'm saying that maybe it was short. That they had a 5-minute thing they cut out, but maybe not.
You're
They're not trying to hit a number, is what Alex is saying.
Okay,
I don't think
maybe there was something that up until 2 weeks ago that was in there that they took out.
Yeah, we've seen that in the past, and so I just was wondering.
And that might have happened. I don't think there's anything that I think they would have tidied it up to where it was what they meant,
right?
But I think that it was like
it is
common for all keynotes to cut things out. You know, like you have because you don't know what you're going to do. Even in a pre-record, it's even worse because you're oftentimes recording these pretty far in advance. But I worked on keynotes where things were in the keynote until the day before, and they were like, this isn't quite ready yet. Let's just pull this out.
What we saw was new AirPod Pros. Didn't even mention the AirPods, just the
Those
AirPod
just got
Pro.
updated. So
We saw a new Apple Watch 11, Apple Watch SE, and Apple Watch Ultra 3. We saw the iPhone Air. We now know it is the Air, not the iPhone 17 Slim. It's the iPhone Air. And we saw the 3 versions of the iPhone 17, the 17, the 17 Pro, and 17 Pro Max. What we did not see a lot of conversation about Apple Intelligence. We saw very little conversation about Liquid Glass. We saw very little conversation about 26 for any of the things.
I will say that I was a little bit surprised they didn't mention they gave iOS 26 a little and Liquid Glass a little bit of a tickle, but chiefly because when they were talking about new watch faces on the Apple Watch. But I thought that they handled Apple Intelligence in a very, very smart and strategic way. It is a little bit of spice that they've just dipped into through the throat. They didn't have a moment saying, and because of the breakthrough product, Apple Intelligence, which will transform the entire product line, they were talking about all the CPUs, the A19 Pros and stuff, saying, well, here's the new GPUs we've got, and here's how it affects AI performance. They mentioned Apple Intelligence where it was appropriate to basically remind people that, yes, we are not stupid. We do understand that AI is a thing. We don't necessarily have something to put on a huge pedestal right now, but we are at least going to remind you that Apple Intelligence is something that is still going to be part of every product we do.
What they didn't mention is Siri.
Oh yeah,
they didn't say the S word.
Well, they're not suicidal, no,
at all. So I thought, it's interesting. I mean, look, they stuck to the script. There were no surprises, right? Everything that we saw was exactly what Mark Gurman and Ming-Chi Kuo and John Prosser said we were going to see. Yeah, no surprises. All right.
Yeah.
Then let's go through the feature quilts in that case.
Okay.
The one thing I thought was interesting is that Tim Cook started and ended with a tribute to design. Yeah.
I thought that there was an opening with a title card that had Steve Jobs design is not about it's not just how it looks, it's about how something actually works. I thought that was another really, really smart diplomatic part of the messaging too, because at this point, there's not going to be a revolutionary new phone. Although the Air was very, very different. It's all going to be everything that they talk about is going through this whole episode today was going to be about the engineering and the design that they put into these things. Not just how something looks, but also here is how we got the battery life even longer. Here's how we made sure that we got heat management going in here. So I thought that was playing to their strengths. Again, you're right. If they went to Apple Intelligence and Apple Intelligence features, number one, it's an OS feature, so it doesn't really belong in a hardware thing. But that would have been super, super weak sauce. But by saying that, yes, we've got some phones that are built on the outside, on the inside, extremely well. Design is one of the core things you get when you pay whatever it is you pay extra to get an Apple product, and we will deliver on that thing that you try to get for design. So I thought that was very, very smart.
Yeah. Although I thought, that means we're going to hear a lot about Liquid Glass, which is the chief new design element. Yeah. We didn't hear a whole lot about it.
It is odd, right? That. I mean, WWDC had a lot of coverage of it, but as we were leading up to the event today, Leo, you would ask me, what are you most looking forward to, given that it seems like we know a lot of what's happening? And I said, one thing that I always enjoy is seeing what software feature or sort of somewhere in between hardware, software feature did Apple hold back at WWDC that's going to be exclusive to one of these phones? Because we've seen that in the past with Dynamic Island that was sort of software and many a feature where the new Pro is the thing that has it. And yeah, there wasn't as much of that this time. And I'm surprised to not see more of Apple preparing its users for this huge design change. And that makes me wonder, what's happening there.
I think there's been some controversy over the interface, and I feel like them digging into that, I can definitely see them wanting to keep the presentation streamlined. They're making a big change. They had two ways to go: to either sell it hard or just let it roll out and have people get used to it. And I think they chose to, hey, let's keep our elbows in. I think that's I actually like the design changes, but I think that there's a lot of folks there's been a lot of friction. So I think that's one of the challenges.
I mean, they did say something like, "Oh, look how beautiful it is."
Right.
Yeah, but it was, as Andy pointed out, almost exclusive to when they were talking about the Apple Watch, which I thought was odd. There was so much focus on the hardware side of iPhone. And at the same time, that makes sense given the new Air. They only had so much time to fill the Air with the iPhone. And so you didn't get as much of an opportunity to say, look how this all kind of works together. And I guess that's kind of what the beginning was, right? We design all of this stuff to work so well together. Now let's quit talking about it because we've got a lot of hardware we need to mention. It almost seemed like
they probably, maybe they were also thinking that you don't want to scare people off by saying, oh, and by the way, when we release this new thing next week, your phone will look and act way different than what you've been used to for the past 5 years. So that I could see
that's a good point.
That too.
Don't really want to do that, do you? All right. Well, let's start with where they started was with the AirPods Pro. Yes, as expected, the heart rate sensor, which was in, as you know, was in the Powerbeats Pro, did show up in the AirPods Pro. They also increased the battery life. They say better active noise cancellation thanks to the new H3 processor. And you made a big point. I guess your ear size is tough to fit, Micah. Yeah. Because they have 5 tips now.
5 options. Yeah.
And,
so
they even made a big deal about their better fitting, right?
Yeah. Even the design itself is slightly redesigned, not just the ear tip, but they talked about how the stem and the actual part that goes in your ear, it's all a little bit more streamlined to try to fit more ears, which I think is fantastic. I will say I practically live in my AirPods Pro. And so
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, any improvements here I think are great. I fall asleep wearing one because I'm a side sleeper and I listen to audiobooks as I fall asleep. And so I have already pre-ordered the new Air. Even though I have the 2, I've already pre-ordered the 3 because I always want the newer, better version of AirPods Pro for myself.
Because you live in them.
I live in them, so I might as well. You know, if you're going to go to town, you might as well go to Lincoln.
Yeah. Who should buy these new ones? If you have, I have a Type C AirPod Pro 2. Should I buy this?
Again, if you live in them and you feel like they're even the slightest bit uncomfortable, then that might be a reason to have also better battery life with the active noise cancellation if you use that regularly. If those kinds of things are important to you, then perhaps. But you pointed to a person who might be on AirPods Pro 2 and want to upgrade, and that is folks who are on the AirPods Pro 2 that have the Lightning case. Because you'll get USB-C, you'll get the wireless charging, but on top of that, it also means that your AirPods Pro battery is getting long in the tooth, and so getting a new battery is going to be helpful in general. And then anything before the AirPods Pro 2, I think you'll probably be happy with it. The active noise cancellation on these very small things you stick in your ear is already really good. At least that's been my experience. And they say 2 times better than the Pro 2, of course, 4 times better than the Pro 1. So that improvement will be something that you can look forward to as well. I will be honest, the heart rate stuff that's not what draws me in. It is the better fit and shape and the better noise cancellation that are what matter to me.
I actually made a note here that they used a phrase I can't remember them using previously, in which they called it. I think if this is a quote that's accurate, they call the AirPods Pro 3 a must-have upgrade. Which is unusual because usually they'll say, "Oh, it's 2 times better than this. The battery life is better than this." Now it's a full-on fitness device without even having an Apple Watch or an iPhone in your pocket. I can't remember the last time that Apple has said, "Oh, well, this is if you have an existing pair of AirPods Pro, you're going to definitely want to upgrade right now," which seems like more of a hard sell that I'm used to seeing in an Apple keynote event.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that for me, I have the USB-C AirPod 2 Pro. The better fit, I think, is interesting to me because I've had the same problem I'm halfway between medium and large, and I just can't quite get the right one to work.
I was surprised. A lot of people in our broadcast said they had custom, like third party. Yeah. You have third party tips, right, Micah?
Yeah, I do. I've actually used a few. Comply makes a really good pair. I know that the wonderful John Slanina is a big fan of those, but I recently switched to a pair called Spin Fit, and it's interesting because they have this sort of tip that has a gel pad in between the tip and where it connects, and so it moves kind of at a 360. And so when they're in, I would have an issue sometimes where the AirPod itself would kind of jostle back and forth and make a sound. And so I've found these spin fits to be good. But now that the AirPods Pro have gotten that foam added to them, I do think that's going to cut back on my specific issue, which was the jostling that would take place. That foam should help to kind of deaden that jostle. Deaden the jostle.
Deaden the
That's
jostle.
not a show title. I don't know what it is.
I think that's what Captain Bligh shouted in the mutiny on the back. Deaden the jostle, man! On the foredeck there. Look, Hardy. Okay, so we'll deaden the jostle. We'll get better. There's other features that that they showed, and I don't know when they're going to be available. Chiefly the live translation. Now, remember, Google showed this at their Pixel 10 announcement. In fact, they showed simultaneous translation, and it changed the voice to sound like your voice. Apple's not doing that, but what they are doing is if the other person has AirPods, and they didn't specify they have to be AirPods Pro 3 or 2, I don't know. Then you can have a conversation back and forth, kind of like the Babelfish, which is very cool.
Yeah, we'll see how well it works. I was also pleased to see that a lot of the stuff is rolling out in multiple markets, not just if you're in the United States and you want to speak French or Spanish, we got you. But it seems like this is actually a deal. If you don't have one, then you can simply hold up your phone so the other person can see it, and then what you say will be translated into their language natively. Yeah. Again, a lot of really smart people are going to spend the next 3 or 4 weeks after this is released seeing exactly how well it works and how it's effective. This is one of those areas where as much as we made fun of the Jimmy Fallon Pixel event, doing that stuff as a live demonstration where you see, no, there didn't seem to be much of a delay. No, that voice actually sounded really good. No, the Spanish speaker was speaking in a very, very natural cadence for her. It wasn't as though she was speaking to someone who doesn't speak the language very, very well, and it all seemed to work. When you're doing a canned presentation, such a choreographed one, we basically have it's one of those many things in which by nature you have to be, that will be very trust but verify. This will be interesting if it is true, and we're going to have to spend the next month of people trying this out and see exactly how useful it is. With Apple product, I mean, as I was joking before the show that about a certain feature, it's not a Samsung product, it's probably working as a real thing. Apple tends not to ship something unless it's A, finished, or B, not an artificial intelligence product. But we're going to have to see how well that works. But it was a good demo.
Yeah.
Apple says live translation with AirPods it works on AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation. So that's great. And then AirPods Pro 2 and later with the latest firmware.
So if that's a feature you want, you don't need to get the new AirPods.
You don't need to get the newest ones for that.
Yeah.
Heart rate sensor you do.
Yes.
That's something because it's a new sensor that's built into the AirPods Pro. That'll be nice for working out. In fact, they kind of emphasized now you don't have to wear your watch when you go running, but you still have to carry your phone. So I'm not sure what you have gained.
I just can't think. I mean, the only time I don't have my phone and my watch, or when I'm swimming, and I usually have my watch. And so it's, I think that's good for the folks who have AirPods, I guess, that don't have an iPhone or not have a watch. I bet you there's not a ton of people with AirPods with no watch. Like, I just don't think. I mean, there could be.
I don't know. They know better than we do.
They do.
What would you be listening to if you didn't have your if you didn't have your watch or your phone with you, though?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing.
You have to have your phone. I think
nature.
Well,
nature. Nature,
you would want to have one
muted
in surround sound. You would listen to nature in surround. Yeah, exactly.
Hearing aid features still there. Hearing test still there. They did say improved sound quality. I don't know. This is one of those things where it's right on the cusp of whether you'd want a new.
I think that if you had an older version 2 or you had the version 1, this is one of those skip overs that you're gonna. If you have an older one, it's a good one to upgrade to. If you have the newest one, maybe not. I'm gonna probably go slow on this one. Yeah.
All right, let's take a break, and then we will talk about the new watches and, of course, the new phones. You're watching MacBreak Weekly, our post Apple summary. Did we get put in the reality distortion field or not?
I don't think so. There wasn't a whole apart from the hey, this is a must-have upgrade. I think that they were very par for the course for Apple. Where here's some data, here's some information. We're going to say this is 2 times, this is 3 times, this is 40% greater. They didn't have a lot of. I don't think they had any apart from saying that this is the best earbuds like you can buy anywhere. I don't think they did any comparisons to like non-iPhone models. So they were pretty much straight for the course.
Yeah. They did make a comparison between the new A19 Pro processor and last year's, which shocked me. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Andy Anako, Alex Lindsay, and Micah Sargent filling in for Jason Snell. We are talking awe-dropping, but not reality displacing. That's the key. That's the key. Our show today brought to you by Starlight Hyperlift. Actually, this is a product from Spaceship. We've talked about Spaceship before. I love Spaceship. This is their new cloud deployment platform for launching containerized apps with zero infrastructure headaches. You've probably seen all these great containerized Docker apps that you can easily install, but maybe you didn't want to, I don't know, put it on your own machine. Well, now you can go from code to cloud fast with GitHub-based deployments, real-time logs, and I love this, pay-as-you-go pricing. No servers, no YAML files, no DevOps, just your project in the cloud in seconds. We've talked about Spaceship for a while now. They are amazing, a domain and web platform that is very modern. They have totally simplified choosing, purchasing, and managing domain names and web products. That includes hosting. And now with Hyperlift, Spaceship takes that same philosophy and brings it to cloud-native deployment. This is for devs or people like me, kind of indie hackers who want to try stuff out, innovators who need to test fast, put that MVP up and running, iterate faster, and ship smarter. Go to spaceship.com/twit to find more information about Starlight Hyperlift and get custom deals on Spaceship products. That's spaceship.com/twit. These guys are innovating so fast, so impressed. And by the way, below market domain registration prices too that are just incredible. I love it. Spaceship.com/twit. Take a look at Hyperlift, Starlight Hyperlift, powered by Spaceship. Sounds modern, doesn't it? I think it is. All right, let's move on to the watch. They actually updated all 3 models of the Apple Watch, including the SE, which I don't know. Were we expecting an SE update? I might not have been.
I don't know. So it's a big one. The fact that you can now have the always on display, and I think use of gestures is also new for the
wrist
SE.
Gestures is new, and that I think is important especially because while I think that feature is very handy, and I did not mean the pun there, it is something that I haven't seen a whole lot of people use. And I think part of that is because we haven't seen it brought to the whole lineup, where it becomes a little bit more useful and more sort of available in my knowledge, where I go, oh, right, I don't have to actually put the thing down in my right hand to stop the timer. I can just do a little pinch and then it's going to stop. I think it's a very clever feature, but I always forget it's there. So in a way, I'm glad to see it come to more, because it means I'm more likely to see other people doing it and go, right, that's a feature that they added that's very clever and will work. And yeah, I think it gets a little bit muddier now between which Apple Watch you're going to choose.
So muddy that I can't figure out which feature quilt is the SE and which feature quilt is the new 11. I can't
That's the Series 11, the one that you're just on.
So this was the 11.
That's the 11.
And then this must be the SE then.
Yeah, that's the SE.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know how you could tell, but
Only
that's the point. They're very similar.
They're very similar. The difference, I think big difference you're going to see is that display, right? So the display on the Series, there I go, on the SE is not as big and nice as the Series 11.
Right.
And it doesn't have that thinner bezel that you get, or actually thinner case, I should say, that you get from the Series 11.
But you get, what is $100 less? So
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it is, on top of that, wrist temperature sensing, sleep apnea, and the new sleep score feature, but I'm sure we'll talk about when we talk about the main phone. A speaker, which, okay, that's nice, but you got it. Fast charging, which they didn't have before. It really seems like more of a less of a we've designed a lesser version of the Apple Watch for budget users, and more of a we're going to try to get like the greatness that we had a couple of generations ago and figure out a way to sell it for $250.
Yeah, Apple wants everyone to have an Apple Watch. It really, I mean, and now it's not just the current administration who wants everyone to have a wearable itself.
This makes sense. Get them started with the lowest price product, and you'll have them probably for life. I mean,
also there's so much competition in this space. If they didn't have like a what they could term a budget oriented version, they're not going to get they're not going to have a great amount of success. It's just with people who can afford to spend $350 to $700 on a watch, because there are actually some great ones. Like Xiaomi makes some really nice ones that only cost $80 or $90.
Right.
Fitbit also makes some nice ones that's sold for less than $150, and they don't do nearly as much. But not everybody wants to be able to have 5G satellite connectivity from a watch. They just want heart rate, steps, notifications, simple apps, and the ability to have the really cool Snoopy watch face on it.
And going down market is pretty predictable from Apple. Like trying to find cheaper ways to do it. If they can find ways to get it down, I bet you in a year or two, if they could find a way to get to 150 or 200, they would.
Yeah.
They want to get down there and make sure that there's not a lot of room for, if someone's selling something down there, they want to make sure that the margin is very small.
So good. All 5G modems now in all three watches.
Which Apple says is battery efficient.
Yeah.
More battery efficient.
Yeah. You don't need you don't really need the speed, but it is battery efficient. They did have maybe you thought it was a little long, Andy, but I really thought it was very impressive, the life-saving features.
Yeah.
The guy who had a stroke, and then, he didn't know what was going on, but the watch said, should I call 911? And they did. And if you have a stroke, the sooner you get to the hospital, the sooner you get treatment, the better your prospects. And he seemed like he'd fully recovered. So that's pretty impressive.
I also like that they had a story from a kid who was, it was hard to figure out from the video, but there was a mention of mental health has helped my mental health so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, these are very, very useful things. It just seemed like a lot.
You're a cynic. You're just a cynical son of a gun.
We're trying to explain that it's more than a watch.
I'm also saying that we don't want to save the lives of Android users.
Yeah, no, you guys could suck. But if you're an Apple watch, YZF donor says, I don't know if he's being sarcastic, I cried 3 times. It was my lip might have been trembling. It was I thought it was.
Yeah, I think that's the point Andy's kind of making, right?
I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying it was long. It was like those of us who are old enough to remember like the Jerry Lewis telethon. It's like there's a video about like the medical stuff they're doing, which is that wow, you are really. I don't know. It seemed out of place for Apple. Did you feel it was
ingratiating a little bit, like they're trying too hard to?
I thought that it was. I thought it was just too much of a serving of that topic. That's all I said.
Too big
especially because it's not as though this was.
I always get too much cranberry sauce, and I never eat all of it. It's too big of a serving.
My eyes are bigger than my head. I always get too much stroke prevention, and I never. I have to just throw a quarter of that. I mean, that was a compelling story, particularly because this is the sort of thing that it was specifically the sort of story that gets people to buy a device like this. It was because I guess he had a Ring video from his Ring doorbell or whatever. He was just in his driveway. You
saw him fall.
Preparing to work out. He dropped. Didn't know what was going on, and the phone gave him that interaction. And it is very, very true that a stroke is like you can either be 100% recovery if you are attended to almost immediately, or for every 5 or 10 minutes, that's another part of you that's going to take another 6 months to a year of rehab, or you will never get it back. So that's what he was a very, very happy fella, and for many good reasons why.
And I know people who are buying their parents, and
I did. I bought my mom a watch in her 90s because she was falling and I was worried about it. And she wears it. I said, Mom, just wear this all the time. Yeah. And I was really glad she did. And she still wears it, even though she's now in a nursing facility where somebody would come pretty quickly, but still. She also, by the way, can't figure out how to make phone calls with her phone, but apparently can with her watch. So.
I'm surprised with the watch in general is how good the audio quality is. I'll answer the phone.
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
And Carlita is always surprised that I'm on the. So I'm like, I'm on the watch, and she's like, really?
It's like when they first got cell phones and phones in airplanes. You won't believe where I'm calling from.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in the airplane. I'm on my watch. It's very Dick Tracy. It's nice. I like
I
it.
have so many Apple devices though. I just never know what's going to happen. Like, it's
which one's gonna ring,
what's
how's it
gonna,
gonna-
I'm going to try to
Where's it
answer
gonna
with my
route
watch,
the
but if I
audio?
walk around, I don't know if it's going to go somewhere else or do something else. And so I'm always
That HomePod suddenly talking. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
exactly.
But getting back to health, it's like this is also you're also hoping that okay, I'm going to give you a few $100. I'm also going to put myself through the trouble of having to charge this damn thing each and every night and not forget and get in the habit of wearing this watch every day instead of a variety of watches, which is what I might be used to. Like the new there's some rumors of high blood pressure detection, and it happened pretty much the way that we figured that it was going to happen, which is that no, it's going to not going to read you your blood pressure over the course of a month. It can get it can accumulate enough data to say that perhaps you have hypertension, give you a hypertension alert, alert of chronic high blood pressure. Again, it's over a 30-day period. They're saying they don't have FDA clearance yet. They expect to have it in 150 countries this month, so they're pretty much sure that $600 billion is going to deliver once again. But they expected. They're saying we expect to diagnose 1 million people in the first year. And
that number that they put out. Yeah.
And I'm just saying that this is if you're trying to sell somebody a fitness watch, that's what they're hoping to get out of it. That, gosh, I had no idea that I was basically having a heart attack each and every night until my watch after 3 months, three weeks, saying, okay, you definitely want to talk to your doctor about this. Here's some data that we're kind of alarmed by. We're not going to diagnose something, but hey, this is going to be worth the copay to have yourself checked out for this. That's the fantasy of saying, I know there must be something wrong with me. I'm hoping that I can figure out what it is before there are actual symptoms of it in three or 4 years from now.
Steve Gibson, who in his earlier life apparently did some blood pressure coding and hardware building, says very difficult to take spot check blood pressure. These sphygmomanometers that squeeze you and so forth. It's a complicated thing, and he said it's very unlikely you'd ever get a watch to be able to do that. You've got to do that squeezing that the sphygmomanometer does. But this is a very interesting way of adding that capability. And remember that hypertension is a silent killer. It's not symptomatic.
Yeah.
People who have high blood pressure will go years not knowing it unless they, check. And most people don't have. I have a blood pressure cuff I wear all the time. Not wear all the time. I use all the time.
It's on you right now.
You've probably seen me wearing it around. It's a little weird looking, but no. And it's important. And I'm on medication for hypertension, which has brought it down to normal. I love, by the way, that my watch also shows my blood sugar because I'm wearing that Dexcom Stello. And I see that my blood sugar is at 80, which means I'm faint-headed right now.
It's gone down from earlier. It was 96.
I don't know why it's going down. But anyway,
been working out.
And that's a complication on my watch, too. The other thing I love on the watch is when it says it's 90 dB and it has been for 10 minutes, you should wear hearing protection.
Yes.
I think
Those
that's super
little features are
valuable.
really valuable.
In general, I think that, Tim Cook said quite some time ago that they think that Apple will impact health more than any, that's what their products. I mean, I think that's definitely a focus for him.
Right. Yeah.
And I think he's right. I mean, I know that for me, I thought that the closing the rings was a silly thing, but I pay attention to my steps and my rings all the time.
I do too.
It's kind of like this constant little thing that I'm working through, and I use it for when I'm doing laps in my pool, and I use it for there's so many things. And I would say that other than a timer, the number one use for my phone or my watch is all the health things. Tracking all of those bits and pieces. So I think it does make sense that they have focused on it. Now that the Ultra can do second hands, I'm pretty.
I thought, when I saw that, I thought Alex is going to be happy. Even in the,
I got like 6 texts, like 6 different people texted me, and just said second hands.
Just so people understand, of course it is second hands when it's active, but when it's in the always on sleep mode, those seconds go away, except they won't anymore. They won't. And they say without draining battery, we'll see.
When you're doing production, you're trying to get things to a certain time, and you don't want it to keep on disappearing. You don't want to keep moving your watch to get it done. You want to look down at it and just say, just keep doing the seconds. So yeah.
The Ultra 3 is available for order now, and will come as will all the other things we've talked about so far on Friday the 19th. Personal Beast, they call it on the webpage, which is great. Satellite communications which is going to be useful if you hike or you go out, and free for the first 2 years, which I thought was really interesting. Much like the phone.
But yeah, Apple has been saying free for the first 2 years for different devices for what feels like longer than 2 years at this point.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like they keep putting, I should say,
Well, I know
putting
T-Mobile
off
now
starting to
charges
charge.
me for satellite connectivity.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
so-
I have not seen that yet on AT&T.
Yeah. Well, T-Mobile's using Starlink, so that's probably why they're charging. I wasn't sure if I would get this until I found out that I could get $335 on my last Ultra 2.
Yeah.
Which, almost cuts the price in half. That makes it pretty attractive. Now, my Ultra 2 is in perfect condition, but that's another testament to the quality of the screen and the quality of the titanium build and so forth.
It is a crazy thing, though. We somehow got to a point where we're spending an awful lot on watches and then swapping them out. That's
Every
quite
2
a marketing
years.
Triumph. I mean,
Yeah, but Alex, I know people spent $120,000 on a watch. Sure, they're going to be able to give it to their kids.
No, I get it. It's just that I had a Citizen that was like a $600 Citizen or something like that, and I had that for a decade. Like,
Right.
it was, and it did what I needed it to do. And
but so
before that, I
I'm
had like a
paying
G-Shock
like
for
$450 for the new Ultra 2 because of the trade-in. That's not
Yeah.
bad for 2 years. I think that's not
Yeah.
bad.
I get as long as you love it. I mean, there's a
I do love it.
Was
I
it
do.
Garmin?
I do love my
Garmin
watch.
released a new Fenix. They tried to scoop Apple by saying, "Oh well, we've got satellite connectivity. We announced it before you did." So yeah, but your watch is what, $2,000?
Yeah. Well,
Which
that's
is-
the other end. We talked about the low end, but there is the other end. And the serious runners, the serious athletes often do buy Garmin
Yeah.
and other models.
I'm-
Apple's saying the best GPS in a sport watch on their
Yeah.
website. So they know where their competition is for ultra athletes.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and the hard part is if you're Garmin, I mean, it's at some point there's this massive company with a lot of resources that is gunning for you. It's got to
Yeah.
be you can stay there for a little while, but if Apple keeps just slowly iterating towards you, it seems like a hard place to be.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the thing is like people every time I have friends who marathon, and when I see like video of all the pictures of like the serious,
They're all
ultra
wearing Garmins.
marathon.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're not. That's not the cultural choice for it. And also realize that the Apple decided to make the Ultra in response to how much success that Garmin and other makers were having with these like adventure watches. So. I do. I absolutely take your point, particularly because Apple can deliver a lot of things that Garmin can't deliver, which is, hey, if you got an iPhone, boy, will this work really great with it. But I do believe that there's usually a difference between the originator of someone who the company that understood the market so well that they built the thing that everybody wanted to have, versus the company that looked at the sales numbers that, ooh, we should build something like that. And this is one of those categories where Apple is just building something similar to the thing that lots of people have been buying before.
It's just a question of, can you hang on to the same size of the pyramid? Because you're at the top of the pyramid and you're at the very tippy top. And what we see in a lot of other markets, whether it's Avid or whether it's other specialty things, someone's got they got that tip. they got the top of the pyramid, but that rest of that pyramid keeps moving up towards them and just chewing away, and every little inch that the bottom of that pyramid gets chewed away is a lot of sales, and that's the hard part. And it doesn't have to be that it goes to zero. It just,
Apple
if it cuts 15-20% in, it becomes problematic.
Apparently with the Apple Watch, they practically killed the Swiss watch business, right?
A lot of watch business.
Yeah. They took a lot of money away, but
That's odd to me.
Well, I'm sure the IWC $150,000 watch businesses haven't changed, but they only sold a few of those a year, right? How many of those do they sell? But Swatch and people like that, the low end Swiss watches apparently just got decimated.
Well, but it's a different market. And to Alex's point, like there are a lot of you look at all the people who buy $20,000 Rolexes, and wow, this is tested to 200 meters, and it's the choice of of aviators and scuba divers. Like, yeah, these are just people hanging out like at a bottle service bar. I think there are a lot of people who are buying the Ultra not because they want to. Oh, I need something to be a dive watch. I need something that will when I'm backpacking through the Himalayas.
Hey.
It's like, no, I want the big dial with a big honking titanium
It's
band around
aspirational.
it.
I think I'm going to go hiking and I need to prop up.
That's who's buying it. Not the marathoners. Yeah.
We were in Corte Madera and going to the Jeep dealership and taking Jeeps out, and I made the mistake of asking, like, so what's the number one person that buys Jeeps here? And he's like, Marin Moms.
Absolutely.
Like, he said, so
who do you think's driving all those big trucks? It's not lumberjacks.
Yeah.
Right. It's aspiring lumberjacks.
It's an SUV without being an SUV.
Here is $5,000 cash, sir. If you can tell me within plus or minus 5 bales, how many 50-pound sacks of peat moss your pickup truck can hold, I will give you this $5,000.
Battery life on the Ultra 3, boy, they're claiming a lot, up to 42 hours in normal use. Yeah. But if you want to work out for 14 hours, go ahead with full GPS and heart rate readings. Fantastic. Finally, I've been waiting for that.
If you're doing ultra marathon, you're good. Yeah. But you're probably using a Garmin if you're using ultra.
Low power mode, 72 hours, 35 hours of outdoor workout with GPS and LTE, and low power mode with fewer GPS and heart rate readings. In other words, more than all day battery life. Although I don't know. I'm just used to charging it every night.
Yep.
I guess.
I mean, yeah, I don't.
Apple wants you to wear it overnight too, though. They want that sleep stuff, right?
I have places to put my watch all the time. Both my phone and my watch have MagSafe somewhere.
Locations.
Like everywhere I sit down or drive or whatever has some charger. So I have a tendency to just not think about battery life that much when I'm at home, at least.
I mean,
by the way, Find My also works with satellite, which is very cool. Nice. So if you're lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was another one of the getting back to the video. The most dramatic one was I was lost, a young adventurer. I was lost and I didn't have my iPhone, didn't have anything like that. And boy, when I saw that helicopter from the sky, like some avenging angel to save my life,
I like the one where I crashed into a swimming pool.
Yeah, my word.
Okay, first of all, I was drunk off my butt, man. I shouldn't have been driving, but how else am I going to get the car home?
They had video of the car going off the road through the garage.
I'm not saying. I'm sorry.
And then later, you see it
Andy's doing
upside
a joke,
down in the swimming pool.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not know he was mentioned. I was basically saying that they don't. When people email,
no one was
Tim Cook
drunk
saying,
here.
First of all, I'm not going to stop drinking. You got to accept me for the faults and everything. But now because I have an Apple Watch, boy, I got pulled out of so many ditches. I was too drunk to even know my name, let alone where I was.
That's not what the guy on the video said. That's not what the guy said. This is Andy talking about himself, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'm a journalist. I can't afford to own a car. Come on, let alone afford a drink.
He walks to the library. Everybody, don't you forget it. The Apple Watch. I was a little skeptical.
To school every day.
I was a little skeptical in the beginning. I have to say, I'm completely a convert, and it's been as they've slowly added must-have feature after must-have feature. Yeah. I use it for working out. And it's really, really useful on your wrist now in a way that a regular wristwatch just isn't.
And I really want the second hand, but I think I'm probably going to still, like, I don't know if there's still enough in the new one. As I have the Ultra, I have the first Ultra, which I spent a lot of money on. And I'm kind of like, well, I'm still waiting for glucose. The glucose.
You're not going to get glucose, but you wear a CGM, right?
I do.
Having that as a complication in your watch is pretty close.
It is. I if I could do it without the tag on the back of my arm,
I'm so used to it now. I don't even. Yeah. Not even aware of it.
Yeah. I wonder what company can do something to win over people like me, where I appreciate that. Geez, it only takes like a half hour to 45 minutes to charge it up for the entire day. Even if you're wearing it overnight, just pop it on the charger when you wake up, and then when you come back from breakfast and showering, it'll be ready for you for the rest of the day. It's just that I will do that for X number of days in a row, and then there'll be the day where I was working at my desk, I took it off because it was bothering me to have this on my wrist, and I left it on the desk, and then because I needed to get somewhere in the morning, I kind of just, I'll just take my Casio with me, and then like it will break the habit, and I just can't get that into part of my life. I wonder what company. This is one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to the Pebble. That I'm thinking that if it has to be charged every day, you're probably not going to get me. I think I can commit to once a week charging it. But it's interesting that there are people like me that just as much as I appreciate the technology, as much as I appreciate, stroke prevention, fall prevention, accident prevention, it's just such a hard thing for me to commit to.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're not, of course, you're not alone in that, but I do think that it's those of us who use it regularly and charge it all the time, it is hard to imagine. I was talking to someone just the other day and they were talking about how both they and their husband did not have any interest in the Apple Watch because of the charging and every day. And I was just like, every night I just put it on the charger and then everything's fine. And they're like, no, I don't do that. I can't see myself doing that. I don't think it's going to happen. And then and it just blew my mind because I think I put my phone and then I put my watch and then that's it. And then I wake up in the morning and I put on my watch and I grab my phone and I feel naked if I don't have my watch on. And so it's all very much just second nature for me. But if it isn't second nature for you, then it's hard to get into that groove. So I can understand that.
And every morning as I get up and go out the door, it's spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch. It's just wait a minute, no, that's wrong.
You're basically that's Catholicism you're referring to.
Yes, I'm sorry, that was the wrong
kind of religion.
That's when I go into church. Anyway, we just got pushed a update to the public beta, which I suspect now we're at RC because did they mention? They didn't mention in the event. I think we've seen some news sources say that 26 will come out on the 15th. Is that what you said? Somebody said something?
What was it, John Ashley?
Did John Ashley say?
Yeah, no. 9 to 5 Mac is reporting that Tahoe 26 will be launching on September 15th,
which means they probably all launch the same day.
Yeah.
So if you are on the public beta, you're going to be probably getting the release candidate, and then you won't have to worry about it next week. 1 week off. All right, we're going to take another break and come back. And now, finally, after all of this, we've been teaching you how to defer your impulses. It's all about impulse control in this show. We will talk.
Congratulations, your 2 marshmallows are coming right after this break.
We'll talk about the phones in just a bit. You're watching MacBreak Weekly. Micah Sargent filling in for Jason Snell. It's great to have you. Always great to have you, Micah. Appreciate it. From Tech News Weekly, iOS Today, hands-on tech and hands-on Apple, which was hands-on Mac. We've renamed it because you like to cover all the Apple
the stuff.
Yeah. And those are club shows. So if you're not in the club, get in the club. Get in the
Join
club.
us.
Get in the club. Twit.tv/clubtwit. Also here, Alex Lindsay from officehours.global. I'm so disappointed that you don't have all of these notes on the production. We noticed.
I did get to watch parts of it. I will say that I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I did watch parts of it. I don't know if the color is quite nailing it compared to what it was before they were using the phone. I can't quite figure out what's
they
going
did
on
say
in
this
the
was
pipeline.
shot on an iPhone the entire
They've been shooting them the last couple on an iPhone, and there's something that's not, at least on the monitor that I'm looking at.
Here's a question that Mike and I both were asking.
Yeah.
Does it make people bow-legged?
Yeah, everybody looks like their legs were kind of bowed out.
I did not notice
wide?
that. It just might have been not the angles that I saw when I was,
think it's
when
wide
I was watching
angles.
parts of
I
it.
think it's the wide
I
angle.
think that you will get that if you're shooting with the ultra wide.
Yeah.
So if you're shooting the ultra wide, you definitely get some stretching along the edges, and so that would be problematic. So that could have been something that affected it. Ultra wide is definitely a distorter on the sides. So
it's also a testament to apparently the Apple presenter stance is an official and enduring thing. People actually were starting to write about it like a year or two ago. But they've got this. They stand heroically with their feet apart.
Yeah.
So they've been coached and counseled about here's how to stand so that your people will pay attention and believe you and have authority. And
and then steeple the fingers occasionally to show that you're thoughtful. Great to have all three of you. We will come back and talk about the phones in just a moment. This episode of MacBreak Weekly brought to you by 1Password. I know you know the name 1Password, but now 1Password does even more. It solves a problem that is right now a big one in enterprise. Over half of IT professionals say securing SaaS apps is their biggest challenge. With the growing problems of SaaS sprawl and shadow IT, it's not hard to see why. Thankfully, Trelica by 1Password can discover and secure access to all your apps, managed or not. Trelica, Trelica, by 1Password, inventories every app in use at your company, whether you approved it or whether they're just, using something they like. Then pre-populated app profiles assess the SaaS risk. And by the way, they're profiles for every app. So they assess the SaaS risks and then let you manage access, optimize spend, and enforce security best practices across every app your employees use. Yes, it's a way to manage shadow IT. You can also use it to securely onboard and offboard employees to meet your compliance goals. Trellica by 1Password provides a complete solution for SaaS access governance. And it's just one of the many ways that extended access management helps teams strengthen compliance and security. 1Password's award-winning password manager, trusted by millions of users and over 150,000 businesses, from IBM to Slack, and now they're securing more than just passwords with 1Password Extended Access Management. 1Password is ISO 27001 certified with regular third-party audits and the industry's largest bug bounty. 1Password exceeds the standards set by various authorities and is a leader in security. Take the first step toward better security for your team by securing credentials and protecting every application, even unmanaged shadow IT. Learn more at onepassword.com/MacBreak. That's onepassword.com/MacBreak, all lowercase. Thank you, 1Password. Orange. That's all. That's the only word of the day. Orange.
Orange is the new almost black for iPhone colorways.
It is. There was a lot of talk that there was going to be an orange phone. Then people said, no, it's copper. You're just thinking it's orange. No, it's orange.
Orange. Yeah.
It's orange.
Cosmic even.
Was anybody else so pleased by this? It's like, it's not
Yes.
like, oh, it's blue. No, it's not blue. It's gray with some blue in it. Hey, it's orange. No, it's not orange. It's sort of a warmer version of gray. This is freaking orange.
There's
And
no
that
question.
Blue is freaking blue.
It's one of 3 stunning finishes for the iPhone Pro. There's silver, there's black, and there's orange.
Well, the black is actually blue.
Oh, is it a bluish black?
Yeah.
Funny, it doesn't look bluish. Okay. Maybe that's just my screen. Okay.
I think it's It's
Thank you, Andy.
I got it. Very good Spaceballs reference. I absolutely got that. I appreciate that.
I guess I
deep
shouldn't
blue.
start with
Deep
with the Pro. I should start where Apple started, with what we now know will be called the Air.
Yeah, I wish that we had figured that out earlier on. We're always referring to the iPhone 17 Air, but it makes sense that just like with their budget phone, it makes sense that something that they may not want to commit to updating each and every year. It makes sense for them to say, okay, this is the Air, and this is the first generation Air. There will be a second generation, third generation.
They announced 4 phones. They did not announce an SE. This might lend some credence to the rumor that they were going to start doing releases twice a year so that they can kind of spread the production out and spread the sales bump out. But we did get 4 phones, and the Air is actually gorgeous, except for a giant camera bump, which they call the plateau.
Exactly, yeah. you know they weren't going to call it a bar or a bump. It's a plateau.
I call it a butte because it really, the plateau is a description of the flat surface on top, but really the dominant feature of this is the rise. You've got this very thin phone, it almost looks top heavy, and then this very large bump at the top.
It's a physics problem.
Right. You can't get the camera in the...
And the reality is, it's still, even though if you're going to reduce the number of cameras are still one of the most important part of the camera. So, most important part of the phone. And so that you have to give it the space that it needs to do that. I don't think that they can cheat their way. If they could, they would.
It's not just the camera. They said we also put the CPU in there.
A19 Pro, the same one as the
I heard
top
they put
end
the kitchen
iPhones.
sink in there. They fit it
all in
slid it to the side.
I got to say, I was very impressed because we've been discussing for months, like, oh, well, there are a lot of people that might not mind having a lesser phone because they like the design or they like the style of it. I think the messaging, at least, of what they were talking about the iPhone Air is to make it very, very clear, at least in their messaging, that this is not a lesser version of the iPhone. This is a smaller, thinner version of the iPhone. You're going to get here's and telling back to that opener about design, like, here's all the engineering and design we did in order to make sure there's room for a larger battery. Here's all the engineering and design we made to make it give it the fastest CPU in every smartphone, make it more, I'm quoting here, more durable than any previous iPhone, which is something that we're all going to be worried about. But having a super, super thin, saying that going to like this new frame design, we've got this new modem is up to twice as fast as the C1 modem, uses 30% less energy, the most power efficient iPhone ever. Using
they
the same
claim all-day battery life, which is It sounds like it's basically the battery life of the 16.
Yeah.
Because the 17 Pros have much more
And
battery
just think,
life.
now that it's that much thinner, you can now put it into a battery case that's
They
smaller.
showed a special MagSafe battery that you could put on there,
I don't
which
even know
really
MagSafe. I just
obviates
think
the
a
whole
lot of
point
people-
of it. If you
Yeah, a lot
ask
of people are
me.
going to get cases, and those cases are going to be smaller now, so that's good. I mean,
They have a new
it won't
thin
be as
case.
bulky. Because like my phone is this big with the case.
Look,
it
that's
would be
ridiculous.
smaller
That's
with the case.
absurd.
But it's
Yeah.
but it's nice to have that option that if you're going out to dinner, if you're going out day to day, you have the smaller, lighter phone. If you're in New York for a couple of days on business, it's nice to say, okay, I can slap a battery pack on with that makes it about as thick as a regular phone and not feel as though like I'm
Well, again,
I'm
I do
messing
think
myself up.
the battery case that a lot of people are going to put on this phone is just going to make it like the last phone was, but with a lot more battery.
Yeah.
So you can
I
still buy it.
think you don't need a battery case. I think the idea is if you can get through the day, and most people can, they do what you do, Alex. They charge it when they're sitting at the desk. The real question is durability, and they really doubled down on durability for all the new phones. They're saying they've got more durable screens. They've got the ceramic overlay.
I just
they're
can't get
using
over
glass
the
front and back.
The thin one, like my wife puts hers in her back pocket, and I just feel like this is.
Oh, you sit on this.
And
You're
sits
deep.
on it?
Yeah,
She does.
but no, don't get that crossbody strap, and you can show off your.
That's the new fanny pack.
I thought it would go well with my fanny pack. Actually,
You can attach it to your. What they need is a little strap that attaches to your fanny pack.
I see a lot of young women with crossbody phones. Usually, they're kind of glittery and they have, but still, I mean,
Got a lot of
these
flair.
look very. Yeah,
I and it attaches magnetically, and I'm sure we will find out by people making YouTube videos and TikTok videos about this. But how difficult is it going to be to simply come by on a motor scooter and just yank that, just like you're taking a number at a deli? Just thank you for the phone.
I'm at the DMV.
Yeah,
that's what Keith 512 in our Discord says. Crossbody strap equals please mug me.
Yeah.
Well, no, but we know stealing an iPhone is
But
only
people
a fool's
crossbody
game.
their cameras.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, and I keep a hand on it.
There's like a web strap, and it's like attached by really, really thick lugs. And if you try to yank it off of me, you're going to be taking me with you. And trust me, you don't want me with you on a motorcycle.
Yeah. They did emphasize that we've got the A19 Pro in here. It's not quite as fast as in the Pro phones, but
correct.
It's pretty close. They've got neural processing. They got GPUs. They got ray tracing. What?
Ray tracing.
Ray tracing.
That was another reoccurring theme. They wanted people to make sure that this is a great gaming platform. You want to game on this phone, no matter in the entire line. All our phones are great for gaming. They're great gaming devices. You want to game on this? Okay.
The funny thing is, I think at least the games I play on my phone are not. Like ray tracing wouldn't make them any better,
you can get Xbox games on iPhones now. So
I have to say that I don't know how many people on a small screen are going to notice the difference in the reflections that the ray tracing provides. Maybe I rendered a shiny ship for Star Wars without any ray tracing.
Right, but it took you how long? But how long did it take you?
73.
It was 45 minutes a frame.
A frame.
45 minutes a frame?
A frame.
That's kind of
how
the
many
normal.
frames?
My longest shot was 239 frames.
Mother Mary.
And so
it took a week for you to render this image.
No. It would render overnight every night. I would render it because I worked on that shot for 9 weeks, 239 frames for 9 weeks. And so the and people would see like, what are you doing? You're on the same thing. I'm like, well, it's 239 frames, and everyone would be like, oh, okay, never mind.
Now we get
that's a lot of frames. And
that's 10 seconds of film.
But, in visual effects, you spend a lot of time. Now I think you could probably render something almost the same quality, in real time.
Right. So. This was Princess Amidala's ship, right? The
ship, yeah.
The very shiny, pretty one.
Yeah.
Was it? And
kind of looked like an iPhone Air. Come to think of it, yeah.
Not to make this into too much of a rat hole, but was that 1080 resolution, or what was the resolution that you were running at?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to say. So, but I think that on a show in front of a lot of people. But
I'm just asking because
it was roughly HD, which you could see. Here's the hard part: is if you look at 4K versions of both Episode 1 and The Matrix, you'll see the difference where they did a lot of effects and when it was just film, because the sharpness is different. Especially The Matrix. I went to see it at the Dolby Cinema when they did a 23 release, and it just was like shocking. Like it was, because we none of us could, rendering. When you say 45 minutes a frame, rendering an HD or a UHD version would have been 4 times that. So it would have been 3.5 hours or whatever, a little over 3 hours to render every frame, and so it would that would have been unworkable. And so a lot of that was also calculated, to go on a rat hole for just a second. A lot of this was calculated on looking at what makes a difference on film when you watch it after it's been reproduced. So you strike the master and then you make copies of those. And some golden eyes went in and looked at it, like, when does the resolution make a difference so that we're not rendering any more than we have to? And so that's how the resolution was derived. But the problem is that didn't give it a lot of shelf life when we went to UHD, but you wouldn't notice it in the theater when it came out because people were pretty careful about it. But when you go to a theater when it was filmed back in the old days, you were looking at the 3rd to 5th generation of the film,
right?
As it was, as those were struck. So that's now you see exactly the artist's intent from day one, and you see the same thing at day 180.
Now the Grand Moff Tarkin looks like a fish.
I mean, it's what's interesting is again to go. I know we're not going to go into Apple Vision Pro, but where you really start to see resolution is the difference. You can really see the difference in resolution when you're looking at movies.
So do not watch episode 1 in your Vision Pro, is what you're saying. You
still should watch it. You should definitely buy it. No, wait, I don't get any.
You should.
I don't get any royalties.
And look for, what was the name of that character? Slag Tofkin?
Rumslag.
Rumslag.
So here he is. This is my own. When I did it, they had me do a T pose, and I said, "What's the T pose for?" And they said, "For the action figure." I was
action figure, of course.
I'm gonna have an action figure.
Yeah, that would make me gasp too.
I keep trying to find it for you, but because there's a guy who's doing doing regular runs of custom like Lego Star Wars minifigs, and he does occasionally a run of Rumslag Lego minifigs.
Wow!
But I always miss it by this much.
I collect. They had the parts that were used to make the character on eBay, and I was so close. I was just like, I was like $550.
Buy your old costume,
and you should get a discount.
No, for all the pieces for the character. Yeah, I wanted to ping him and say, hey, that's
me, and I deserve a $300 discount at least.
So not only does it have the new A19 Pro in the Slim, it has the new C1X in the Slim. It's
That's
slim.
What they call me.
I'm calling it the slim butt version. The promontory phone. It also has
no VPL, no
VPL on this one. There's it's not wearing panties, and that's the beauty.
Okay, moving on.
So,
there we go.
It's the commando phone, we call it. They have the C1X. The C1X modem chip that Apple, this is the first time Apple's released the C1X. They had the C1 before, and it wasn't quite up to the Qualcomm standards of previous phones. This, they claim, is faster than on the iPhone 16.
Extra better.
Yeah, and better battery life. That's a big deal. It sounds like Apple's got the modem locked.
Yeah. Well, there's also a study. I don't have it in front of me, but a long-term study about. It was the company that does speedtest.net, I think. Ookla. And they've been doing a cumulative study in which they've concluded of the iPhone 16 versus the iPhone 16e. It's basically as a comparison between the Qualcomm modem and Apple's C1 modem, and they've come to the conclusion that depending on the network, they're very, very, very close.
Oh, that's
if you've got it, it's basically it's very much local network dependent. For instance, in Japan, there's a very, very large gap between the two, simply because Japan's networks are 100% modern. In other countries, including our own, they're a lot closer because there isn't a whole bunch of fat on the table to go get at. So anyway, so it's not a failure by any means, and it's interesting. It'll be cool to see what the benchmarks are.
And one chip as well, so they have their Apple Intelligence hardware in there, along with the A19 Pro and the C1X modem. And one of the things they've optimized for is efficiency, because the battery is inevitably smaller.
Yeah, they came back to eSIM. What a brilliant way of messaging, of saying there are going to be some people that are complaining that, oh God, well, here's another, just it's the headphone jack all over the GUI. There are reasons why I like to have a physical SIM. It's so easy to swap between 2 or 3 phones I have in the household. But they're basically saying, well, we were able to give you more battery life because we are such design geniuses. We took the space that was occupied by that slim SIM card, that SIM tray, and designed a better, bigger battery to fill that space. So across the product line, turning that into a positive.
I still think you're going to see Apple just slowly get rid of everything other than one big chip. You just open up the camera and there's just going to be a chip with a handful of other little things because it allows them to get smaller and more powerful and more integrated and faster.
They put so much of it in the Plateau already. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is kind of nice. They have a little comparison. If you want to know what you're getting with the current phone models, the Air versus 17 Pro versus 17. And I was asking, and you were right, Micah, the biggest difference in processor between the 17 Pro and the Air is that it's a 5-core GPU on the Air and a 6-core GPU on the 17. In fact, you can really see this is really smart of them.
I like this. This is good.
So you know what you're getting. It's pretty clear. They are claiming 27 hours of video playback on the Air compared to 39 hours, big bump on the 17 Pro. But what's interesting on all the phones is they're claiming much faster charge time.
Yeah, they're very much touting this faster charge time because they've also released in the store what they call a dynamic power adapter. So this is a normally 40-watt power adapter that can charge up to 60 watts max for iPhones now. So they're saying, look, even if you aren't getting that full day battery life, plug this in for 15 minutes while you go, I don't know, have a margarita. I don't know what people do. And then you come back and it's ready to roll. It's ready to go.
Well, and this may be probably less technology, battery technology, and more how you manage that power. You can dump an enormous amount of power into the battery until you get to it starts to get full. Then you got to slow down, or you're going to, light it on fire or reduce its overall health over time.
It's the same with EVs, with cars. They talk about charging to 70% or 80%.
And when they charge that really fast, the reason they're doing that is because they're just dumping it with an enormous amount of as much power as they can put into it, and then slowing that all down to let it cool back down again.
Yeah. That reminds me, I can't wait for the iFixit teardown of this. I can't imagine what it's going to be like to try to replace a battery, let alone a screen of this thing. It might be just buy a new one. This is a Pop-Tart. You don't repair it. You don't fix it. You just consume it.
Specifically the Air you're talking about?
Yeah.
Specifically the Air. Also the Pro, because they were making a big deal. We'll get to it, but they're making a very, very big deal about all the reasons why they went to an aluminium unibody design. And so that's I would be disappointed if they kind of took a step back, because they've been doing a really, really good job of making their iPhones easier to repair. Basically saying that you no longer have to disassemble every layer of the phone to get at the battery to replace it. Now you can basically just flip it over, get at the battery, replace it. Because the acknowledgement that replacing a battery is not always going to be as easy as popping by an Apple store that's in your neighborhood. Sometimes it's like, A, I can't afford to charge the prices you're charging. B, I don't have access to an Apple store and I can't afford to simply ship it off and receive it back. So iFix is going to do a lot of really, really great work for the community, and with their report.
They did keep the titanium for the Air, and they're polishing it to a mirror finish, and it actually
which I think is
pretty.
A travesty. I love the natural look of
I do too. I have a natural. My watch is natural. Yeah. I'm sad. I agree. And I have a titanium band that's natural, and so it goes nicely together. The colors are fairly muted. I won't. I'll stand corrected, Micah, if I'm saying this wrong. Black, white, light gold, rose, maybe, and
that's
a
what
lavender.
we're used to from Apple.
Yeah. Very muted colors. I think the white would probably be the way to go, especially with that polished titanium. I think that's pretty gorgeous, and in fact, that's the model that they show. 80% recycled titanium. That's nice.
What do we think about the reinvention of the bumper case?
I was so excited about that. I always thought the bumper case was amazing.
You missed it. It's here.
I got my free one back in the day, and so I was really excited to see this bumper case.
When Steve Jobs had that event, where basically said, "Okay, you babies.
Yeah.
If you insist on not losing 3 bars by holding it wrong, we'll give you a bumper case and it'll shut you up and make you learn about how we actually do everything perfectly, but we'll make you happy. Now it's going to be a voluntary thing. That's the first completely voluntary bumper case.
That's what it is. They just want to make us, but they're going, remember when we gave you a free one? Well, now you're going to buy one, loser.
It's slim and lightweight. The bumper perfectly frames and showcases the thinness of the iPhone Air.
Yeah, we should have been able to predict that too, because if you're selling people on this beautifully designed super slim phone, you're gonna want to give them an option for a protective case, whether it's the most durable thing they've ever made or not. People are gonna want a case, and you can't just trust basic like case makers to honor the intentions of your super light airiness of it. So
they do have a kind of a clear, very thin shell.
Yeah, less
case
than
for it.
1 millimeter. The shell case less than 1 millimeter thick on the back.
That, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's a bumper.
That's a thing they've carried. There are also clear cases in the iPhone 17 Pro, which makes you kind of lends credence to the theory that was offered by I can't remember the head guy of Icon Factory, saying maybe it's not just that, maybe liquid glass is not just a software thing. They are anticipating future hardware physical designs in which that's going to play off very, very nicely. And if that were true, then having clear cases to give you the idea, to make the idea of translucency and transparency float around to the actual back of the device itself, not
transparent
just
aluminum.
yeah. So if you're showing off your color, the color shines right through, and it's thin enough so the thinness shines right through. But yeah, I don't know, $49 for little piece.
The
of
one
plastic.
thing I'll say about the clear cases that is a positive is Apple really has nailed the not letting the clear plastic turn yellow over time.
Yes.
Almost every third-party clear case starts to yellow, and it feels
Apples do
like
not,
in no
really?
time at all. And I have not had because I started rocking the clear case probably 2 models ago, and it wasn't until this model that I ended up switching to a non-clear case. And yeah, I've never had it yellow on me. They've nailed whatever
Unless
needs to happen.
you buy the intentionally yellow.
Yeah, I guess
case.
so.
This is the orange tech woven. This is their new fine woven, which
With a coating.
it says it has a coating. So don't try to scratch this in the store, you hooligans. You.
That's an interesting development, because they got a lot of flack for how badly those things aged almost immediately, and correctly so. But it shows, it indicates that internally they must be very, very committed to the idea of, we want to have a premium case experience, but we can't use leather anymore. So what are we going to do? Right. So the fact they went back to the drawing board, I think, is really interesting.
I want to charge $50. So we gotta have something.
We want you to round it up to the nearest thousand, no matter what
Actually,
you're buying.
$60 for me. Oh. Yes, go ahead, Micah.
I wish they did cactus leather. This is cactus leather. Oh. And this is made by Otterbox. I haven't had an Otterbox case in a million years, but
kill all the cactuses.
There are plenty of cacti. They probably grow them just for that.
They're not cute.
It's so pretty, and it feels like real leather. But somebody said it could be that you're not getting much improvement environmentally by using cactus leather, because the process to turn it into a leather is maybe still not great. So that could be why Apple's like, well, if we're going to do something, it needs to be fully environmentally
woven. Yes. All right. Well, that's the Air. Very attractive, I must say. I was tempted. It looks gorgeous. Comes in some very pretty colors. And I like the plateau, the promontory, the butte, whatever you're going to call it. Now, what's interesting is they are doing something with the cameras. They call it fusion. And I'm not sure I fully understood this. That means that this single camera on the Air can really be 4 different cameras. Alex, did you understand any of that? Or maybe you didn't see that part?
I did not see that part.
Yeah.
Shoot.
They're calling it fusion. And all of the new phones have it. It's a 48 megapixel.
Usually fusion means that, usually when someone says fusion, it means we didn't optically figure this out. We're going to cheat. And we're going to do a bunch of, machine learning and a bunch of AI stuff, and we're going to put it all together. But usually when I hear fusion, I'm not that interested.
Well, let me read the
it's like,
pros.
okay, I got it.
And maybe that will help you. Apple's iPhone 17. Well, for one thing, they finally put a decent camera in the selfie camera. So that's also Fusion. It's got a center stage front camera that advances the photo and video experience.
Most importantly, because it's a square sensor as opposed to a rectangular one. That's what
Yep.
makes it special.
18 megapixels, up to 18 megapixels. You don't have to rotate the phone to take a landscape selfie. It crops it somehow.
Yeah, because that's square.
Because of its
Right.
square.
So there's actually four different aspect ratios you can choose from, including the widest. And it also gives you ultra stabilized 4K HDR video stabilization built in to the front camera. They're acknowledging that, we realize most people shoot most of their stuff with the front camera.
Especially when people are buying these little monitors that snap onto the back of your camera.
Yeah, that's a sign. I bought one. Yeah, for
better.
small rig. Yeah.
And also a lot more people FaceTime than I realized. I hate, don't call me at all, but especially don't call me on FaceTime. But everybody, I'm surrounded by people who are 3-4 years younger than I am.
They're lonely
regularly.
Micah.
And they all call each other on FaceTime, and it just boggles the mind for me. So
the 17
I think
has
this helps too.
all 48 megapixel rear cameras, which is funny. Oh, that's the 17. The 48 okay, so let me see if I can find the Air, because I guess this is the press release about the 17. But it says the Fusion camera is 48 megapixels, shoots sharp detail with an integrated optical quality 2x telephoto. Integrated. So it's the same sensor.
Yeah, that's the part I don't understand. I can understand the idea of, hey, we've got a huge sensor. We've got enough pixels on the sensor that we can essentially fake any lens focal length that we actually want. What I don't understand is the implication, which is consistent across the way they market this, that no, there's also like a separate 2x lens that almost is implying that it shifts in and out to this special 2x lens, which of course it can't possibly do. I think that they're doing a lot of heavy lifting to try to avoid the idea of, no, this isn't just, we haven't just reinvented putting a 48 megapixel sensor there and just simply digitally zooming in and out. We are basically want you to think that there are actually 4 different settings, 4 different physical lenses in here, and not having one in my hand to try out. I don't know how much of that is malarkey and how much of that is just simply effectively saying, no, we actually put a whole lot of work into making this work extremely well.
I'm sure they put a lot of work into it.
No. I mean, but you know what I mean. It's like we have a history of. It's only in the past like 5 years that anything that's even smacks of digital zoom is in any way usable whatsoever. So if they were simply saying that we have a different model for what we consider the telephoto mode, we have a different model, AI model for the wide mode, a different AI model for like an intermediate portrait mode, and that's why we are claiming that this is like having 4 lenses in your pocket.
Yeah, I think that all I'm going to say is I think they're trying to get away from that, exactly what you're talking about, which is they don't want to call it digital zoom. They want to call it Fusion, but it's just a really, really good version of digital zoom. And
they say optical.
Optical quality is what they say.
Optical quality. Yeah.
So
It's
the
an
custom
optical
main
quality
lens
2x.
enables the popular 28 millimeter and 35 millimeter focal lengths. So users have more option to frame their shot. They are fairly large sensors, 2 micron quad pixel sensor. So there's binning involved. Sensor shift OIS, which is nice. If you're FaceTiming somebody, at least it won't be shaky because it's a 2 micron sensor. They say it excels in low light. Users can also get closer to the subject. This is on the Air with the 2x telephoto. It's up to 8x in the Pro, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So it is. So then it's AI. It's digital enhanced somehow. Yeah.
And again, it's AI that they spend a lot of time on, and they've got a lot of engineers, and the processors are there. They're taking advantage of it. So I think that it's producing great imagery, but I've noticed a little bit, even with my current phone. I still have the 15, so I'm probably going to get this one. I skipped last year. I think that in low light, especially, is where you start to see some of this computational photography start to fall apart. So it just, you take a bunch of things that you think are going to work out well, and some low light works great. But you're trying to do the 48 megapixel, or you're trying to do any kind of high res stuff with low light.
That's when you get halide or
doesn't have enough information.
Yeah. I made a boo-boo. The N1 is not the AI processor. It's the networking chip.
Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread all in one chip. Nice.
Yeah. Thread's interesting. So it sounds like you might use this as almost as a hub in your home automation.
Yeah, I think really here, Jennifer Patterson-Tui has touched on this before. The more devices that you have, it's the one unique thing about Thread that makes it so special is, unlike when you have multiple routers in your home that start overlapping and it messes with the signal, or multiple things setting up Bluetooth, it messes with it. The more Thread devices you have, the more robust the Thread network becomes. So any opportunity to improve upon that, and also to have more points of control, is going to see improvements in latency and connectivity. So it just makes sense to put Thread where you can.
It's a mesh network, yeah.
You're watching MacBreak Weekly, our post-Apple event analysis with our trained professionals. Micah Sargent stepping in for Jason Snell, who is in Cupertino. Mike, of course, the host of iOS Today, Hands on Apple, Hands on Tech, and Tech News Weekly. It's so nice to have you.
Can I make a correction, Leo?
Yeah.
Jason actually didn't go to the event.
He did not go.
No.
He's just playing hooky. So he was not able to get an invite, it sounds like.
No, he did a live recap on relay.fm afterwards.
Okay.
I keep telling you, he's a maverick. He can't be controlled.
You did call him a maverick. That's funny.
He's unbroken. He's untamed.
That's Andy Anatko, who
he's a
did
danger
show
to the
up.
power structure.
Thank you, Andy. We appreciate it. It's so nice to have you. And thank you, Mel Gross, who just did a super donation on YouTube of $10.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Mel. Appreciate it. What do they call those? Super tip?
Super chat.
Super chat. Thank you, Mel. We appreciate it. And also, of course, Alex Lindsay of OfficeHours.
I just want you to know, I missed my own show. But
I know. Thank you. Thank you. Some people care around here. Actually, Jason's going off to Memphis for the Relay FM fundraiser for the Shriners, the annual fundraiser. He's going to be on the marathon, or telethon, I guess you call it. Micah, you've done that in the past, haven't you?
I've not participated in the main thing, but each year, and I will be doing it again this year, I run a live D&D show where when you donate to the game, you're actually donating to St. Jude. And in doing so, you can make changes to the game. So you can add in new enemies for people to fight. You can add in weapons. So we'll be doing that again this year on September 26th. So
awesome.
I'll have more information as we get closer, but yeah, I call it D&D and Donations is the name of the event that we've been doing every year. So far, just the D&D and Donations campaign has raised $10,000 for the kids of St. Jude. So
and in total, Relay FM has raised more than $1 million, I think.
Millions
7
at
million.
this point.
7 million.
Yeah.
Did I say Shriners? Is that the same? It's not. St. Jude is different.
Jude's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shriners burn.
St. Jude Children's Research Center.
Yeah. Very good group. You're going to do a one-shot D&D for us in the club at some point.
Yes,
I'm
very much looking forward to that. That's going to be right around the corner as well. So if you aren't a member of the club, you should join if you want to watch that. I know for sure we've got Paris Martineau joining as a player. And I am.
Has she decided on what class she will be, or do we not get to do that yet?
I'm waiting to see how many people end up saying
D&D.
yes. Are you wanting to do it, by the way?
Yeah, but I've never done it. I've never played D&D in my life.
Don't worry, that's going to be part of the fun, I think.
Okay.
I will say, if there's one thing I'm good at being, it's a DM for new players in particular.
I'm a noob. Yeah.
I like to help.
I'm going to get slain by a
Micah.
Gru every time. It'll just be.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you, Micah? God bless you, because I've played D&D exactly once at summer camp, and every time I've told people how bad an experience it was and why I've never played it against, they always say, "Oh, your dungeon master was a jerk," but they don't say jerk. They use a more colloquialism. So,
yeah.
And so God bless you.
And
Well,
those
you have a
stories
good
break my
dungeon master.
heart. Yeah,
My
you got to
first-
have somebody who's it's because my first time was with somebody who was kind and did not make me feel like an idiot
Yeah,
because I didn't know how to play. And so I said, anytime I do that, that's how I want to be for whomever we're playing with.
Nice.
So yeah.
So we're going to do that in the club at a date to be named later.
Yes.
I can't wait. We missed our photo time last week. Chris Marquardt had a family emergency, so we've rescheduled that for Friday. Delightful is the subject matter. You still have time to submit a delightful photo to Flickr. That's the assignment. We're going to do the Meta Connect event. They're going to announce the next generation of their Meta glasses, we believe. That's a week from Wednesday, right after Intelligent Machines. Your Crafting Corner is the 17th. Love that. Are you still doing Lego succulents?
We are off Lego succulents now, and probably going to miniatures again if we
good.
don't do some yarn crafts. I might
Yarn
we're going to
craft.
do
How
some
fun.
material stuff again. So
And actually, good point. Thank you to the club members who suggested, because Byte for Byte Joe said, because Chris was deferred, that's good. Now you can ask him about the iPhone cameras.
very true.
So we'll talk about that on Friday. Home Theater Geeks is going to do a chat room Q&A right after the Meta event. So that's going to be a jam-packed day. Our AI user group went so well. Last Friday, we talked about N8N with Dr. Do. October 3rd is the next scheduled one. Then there's lots more, including, we've set a date for your one shot. Have we? No, this is that poll.
Yeah,
This
that
is
was just the poll.
Okay.
I'm not sure how to get rid of it because now that we've got it figured out, I want to get rid of that one. So it has confused a few people.
This is all just fuel for grist for the mill to join the club. Please, if you're not a member of the club, it is how you can support what we do here. 25% of our operating costs now paid by club members, and that's a huge amount. Without it, we'd have to cut way back. Someday I'd like to see 100% of our costs paid by club members. That's just a dream I have. But we would like to have you. Ad-free versions of all the shows, access to the club Discord. Although
I love it. The disco.
Yeah,
I hope.
the disco. We've opened up the disco. Let's see. You get the special programming, and you get, for instance, the keynote coverage that Mike and I did earlier today in the Twit Plus feed. That's club members only. So twit.tv/clubtwit if you're not a member. Also, thank you, Hassan, who just did a super chat $5 donation, but he did have a stipulation. He said, I'll give you the $5, but you have to give Jason Snell the same look Steve Jobs gave you on stage when you had your iPad facing him. Jason?
Somebody capture that. It's going to be there for Jason.
Jason? Okay. But he's invited back, unlike me. so there. On we go with the phones, the 17 Pro. Wait a minute. We should say there is a 17. I think the distinction is now getting very thin between the 17 Pro, and the 17 Pro Max. And the Air, it's clear that's a very thin phone.
Yeah.
The 17, what is it missing?
Apple likes it to look like a gradient, not like a staircase.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So it is only two cameras on the back and it's a smaller plateau. Look, if you don't like the plateau.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm really curious, who buys the middle one? Because a lot of times with Apple, people buy the smallest one or they buy the biggest one, and the middle one kind of ends up falling to the side.
I'm going to guess it's their bestseller, but I could be wrong. I don't know. The Air will certainly complicate things. Yeah. So they're going to do the same fusion camera on the back, going up to 2x telephoto. And then the second lens will be the ultra wide camera. They're going to do the same. ProMotion is now available on all the iPhone screens, which is probably a good thing.
Only because of the fact that it can drop so low to save battery.
Down to one frame a second. Yeah.
That's why everyone should care about ProMotion. When they think about it, they're going, why do I need to care about this? Well,
but it goes up also to 120 frames, right? Or something like that. It goes, So that's
I just don't think that's necessary. Yeah, that's compelling for us nerds, but I think especially for the standard, it's like, it saves me battery life. That's fantastic.
All the new phones will have the Ceramic Shield 2.
Yep.
That, of course, is the same material that the Tim Cook presented the president with on a gold bar. This is made by, they never mentioned Corning. It's so funny, but they did it at the time. Made by Corning in an American factory. They say it's tougher than any smartphone glass or glass ceramic, with 3 times better scratch resistance than the previous generation and reduced glare. So that's good.
Yeah.
All
They
the
have
phones now
reduced
start with
glare.
256 gigs of storage and the base model. That's also good. And for most people, that's all you'll ever need. I always buy, they now offer a 2 terabyte version of the Pro. I always buy
for
a
video
lot.
people. Yeah.
I hit about I'm at like 600, so I'm kind of like because I
You're
shoot
in
a bunch of
between.
stuff on video, so I think 1 terabyte's still enough for me. I don't think
Yeah.
I'm going to get
Yeah,
too.
my sweet spot is 512. I just want, and whatever much I need, I always get the next level up because
Exactly.
I never ever want to have to remove something to
Exactly.
make room for something else. And 512 means that the one time I've hit it, it's like, oh, that's because you were flying and you put 40 gigabytes worth of movies at 4K resolution because you didn't want to downgrade them. It's like that was my own fault.
But
So
that's when you
need-
do it, right?
And because Apple charges to the nose for storage, that's why they have to have all those different tiers because
Yeah.
you can't get someone who's on the fence to switch to a Pixel or switch to a Samsung simply because they don't have the extra $250 in the budget for the amount of storage that they need, and they're one of those people who don't see a huge amount of difference between platforms.
I wasted money last year on my 16. I got a terabyte model and I've only used 200 gigabytes of it. So, but I can't imagine buying 256 gigs. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
I'm at 512 and have been for some time.
I think
and
I'll go
I
512.
don't come close.
Yeah, not 2 terabytes, which is now available. For all these phones, including the Air, pre-orders begin this Friday. Availability ships a week later, Friday the 19th.
I will say, as we talked about the Pro phone, if you're going to record with the Pro phone, get an external drive.
Yeah.
like don't
Even 2 terabytes.
When
is
I
not
start
enough.
that, I think a big chunk of what is on that pushed me over 512 was just because when I first started with that phone, I started recording. I'm going to do Apple ProRes, and before you know it, I was like huge, like 38 gig files in 3 minutes or 4 minutes, that kind of thing.
Oh, wow. Let's see. All right. So that's, I think, the 17 4K 60 frames a second Dolby Vision. Video's improved a lot. We'll talk about video on the Pros because that's where it's really improved the most. Video is captured with spatial audio. Audio mix lets users adjust sound after capture to boost voices and reduce ambient sound and wind noise reduction. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've seen that before on the Pro models. So I guess this is just,
so that's moving
we've
down
got it
to
on the 17.
Yeah. 6.3 inch screen. That's probably the thing that most people will notice, that and the 2 cameras.
Yeah. They were mentioning that they made the bezels even smaller than they were before just to make room for the larger screen.
Yeah. Hey, was there a change in the dynamic
Island?
Yeah, because there were rumors about that. I didn't see anything.
I think so. I don't have one in my notes here.
Yeah. And then let's move on to the 17 Pro and the Pro Max, which I think for our audience is probably the models people are thinking about. Yeah. Again, the A19 Pro, 6 GPUs, 6 cores, 4 efficiency and 2 performance. Much better battery life, they're claiming. And of course, the new colors, deep blue, silver, and everybody's favorite cosmic orange. I think I am going to order the orange sherbet version. I really am.
It's very pretty.
They should have licensed it from the frozen treat maker and just called it the creamsicle. The creamsicle.
Oh, it is a creamsicle.
They missed a trick.
They missed.
It is aluminum, no longer titanium.
Can I just say that how I'm not proud of this, but I was so thrilled to hear like an English voice say in the big video aluminium once again. It just took me back.
The only English
I
accent in the whole show, and it was for aluminium. I'm sure that's why they did that. It's a tip of the hat to Johnny Ive.
But yeah, and this is where we get back to again right at the top.
I just want to say,
go ahead.
I think aluminium sounds better when you're replacing the titanium with it. I think
That's
if you
a
just
good
said
point.
aluminum, I think that there was a
They're making it out of tin
they're
cans
adding
again?
a little bit of bling there.
Yeah.
Like, let's get someone to say aluminium.
Oh, it's not just aluminium. It's lightweight aerospace grade 7000 series aluminium.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to do something to say, well, I'm taking this away. I'm gonna
Right.
But this part, getting back to again right at the top, talking about we're designers, everything has to not only look good but also function great. They're taking so the first, I think they were saying that this was the first iPhone with the unibody aluminium design, but also making the point that it's not just because we wanted to use aluminium. It's like because it's part of the heat sinking of the entire phone.
So don't put it in a case, kids.
Yeah, maybe not. But also, I gotta wonder. They made so importantly making the point of how much thought and work and engineering they put into to do something about the heat that's being thrown off by this phone that they've built. It's not just the vapor chamber, but also
cooling chambers. Yeah,
calling out that it's comfortable to hold and that it's also hopefully not going to throttle the CPU at times.
It's the first water-cooled phone, is it?
Yeah.
It's got deionized water sealed inside a vapor chamber, laser welded to the aluminum chassis.
I don't know if it's the first one ever. I would want to see someone else talk about that. Yeah. But definitely, I mean, certainly the most ambitious cooling system they put into. I mean, there are gaming phones actually designed to be gaming phones that have almost like desktop technology for cooling inside. So I'd be surprised if no one has ever by the way, you have to carry around this water bottle full of ice because it's a water cooled phone.
We are starting to see the we're running into physics. Like when they talk as much about heat dissipation as they do in this event.
But also I was joking when they introduced when they sent out the invitations, and of course we're all doing crystal balling. So why does the Apple logo in the invitation look like that? And I was joking that wow, it looks like a heat map, almost as if they're trying to point out that this thing's going to overheat. So I really think that that's what they were referring to. They're making an oblique reference to all of the heat management they're putting into the 17 Pro this time.
So this heat sink moves the heat throughout the phone, where then it dissipates into the body. This is Jaws talking about the vapor chamber, which is laser welded into the chassis to move heat away from the components. Now we know why that Apple was looking so hot. They were actually talking about that.
See if there's going to be like a new case that has like little grill marks on it. So if you get two of them, you can turn it into like a George Foreman grill for sliders.
Why aluminum instead of titanium? What does that get them? It's lighter? No, it's not lighter.
Is it easy? Is it better at transferring heat?
Oh, maybe it might be. That's interesting.
I would think either heat management or the ability to make a unibody out of that thing at scale.
Right.
But that's the sort of stuff where I talk to my metallurgy guy to get the straight dope on.
Oh, do you talk to Vlad too?
Actually, it's Keith.
Oh, you've got Keith.
They were in the same fraternity together at UMass Amherst at the metallurgy department there. So.
Oh, nice. I'll have to mention Keith next time I'm talking to Vlad.
I'm glad they're still in touch. They were really at loggerheads.
Keith. Well, Keef. Keith. Yeah. Get it straight.
Keith.
Ceramic shield on the back as well. 4-time better resistance to cracks. Yeah. Do you think Apple wants people to not buy cases? I think that's
I think especially with the Air, why I know that this isn't the Air, but I'm saying with this being the year of the Air, if you will, Apple probably does want you to go caseless as much as possible. And so
show it off.
Yeah. I think not only that, but they know that what are problems that people are aware of without having to be engineers about it. Well, I dropped it and now the screen cracked, or I dropped it and now this thing broke. Throughout the entire line, they were talking about durability. They were talking about the ceramic shield. They're talking about scratch resistance. They're talking about we've got this new type of glass that nobody else has. That is the sort of thing where if you imagine that you have to score a minimum of 80 points out of 100 with a consumer to get them to buy your product instead of someone else's, that in itself is probably worth 15 points right there.
The line that I really picked up on, and I'm not sure if this is a little fudging it a little bit, is A19 Pro enables iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max to deliver up to 40% better sustained performance than the previous generation. Are they talking about the 16 Pro Max? 40% would be a jump, a huge jump.
Yeah, I just have 16 Pro in my notes here. But mentioning photo and video editing, also again running. They mentioned how good that's going to be for running large language models directly on the device. Again, making sure that they acknowledge the world of artificial intelligence, that this phone is going to be ready for it, even if they don't necessarily have an Apple Intelligence reason to buy for this sort of stuff. They said, again, quotes that I'm not necessarily used to seeing. Tim started off that section by saying, "This is our most pro phone yet by a lot," and he was very animated for Tim. Jaws led off by saying, "This is our most powerful iPhone ever by far." And obviously, the new iPhone is going to be better than whatever they had last year and the year before. Yeah. But the fact that it's interesting that they really wanted to hammer that point, that no, not just a little bit better. We're trying to make you think that this is much, much better. This is a leap forward.
They're adding time code and Genlock. They have a phone that has Genlock.
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah,
a phone that has. So what Genlock?
How big a deal is that? Yeah.
Well, if you're, I don't know why. Like I'm kind of like, okay, that's,
if you're shooting a bullet time scene with 40 phones.
So my guess is that when they were shooting 28 years later, somebody in the production said, this would be a lot easier if these were Genlock. So if you think about all those phones in 28 years later, when they had that array of them, so what the Genlock does is it allows the cameras to time so they're all firing at exactly the same second, not just within you told them all to start. They're firing off and they're scanning their sensor exactly the same time, and that's important if you're interacting with LED walls. It's important if you want to have two cameras that do exactly what they're trying to do, and especially if you wanted to do something like bullet time, or you want to do something like that with the phone, you need to be able to Genlock those sensors. And so
here is the Danny Boyle image.
So that
all
is
those phones.
I'm sure that they didn't have it when they did that. And my guess is somebody a year or two ago
sync them up.
Was like, hey, it would be a lot easier if we could Genlock this.
Have you seen the movie yet? I'd love to see what this scene looks like.
I haven't seen that movie. I think that he did that a couple times because those phones were so light. He could do this thing where he kind of jerks you back and forth and around, in a way that he couldn't do with a bunch of big cameras. And so that's but I think that the Genlock, the time code. Okay, I want to have a whole bunch of phones all shooting, and I want to be able to bring those back in and not try to figure out how to align them all. The time code will just tell me where they all belong on my timeline. And so and if I'm tying that back to recording audio separately, having all that time code, but you can have time of day and they're kind of close, but if you want them spot on, you need the time code to do that. And so those are some of the things that they've added to it. Of course, next generation log and, a lot of other things there as well. But it's a camera that you could probably shoot people are shooting movies with it, but it's now getting to a point where, especially with the rigs that B-Script and other people have built for it, that you're seeing in that Apple uses, that Danny Boyle was using for his, that other people are building. I don't think that it's a replacement for an Arri or a Blackmagic camera, for many, many things that we use it for, or a Sony camera, but it is.
I loved it that they shouted out Blackmagic for the dock.
That confused me a little bit.
Genlock.
I was trying to figure out, does that mean that you would need an external dock in order to get Genlock, or are you Genlocking directly off the device?
Well, you're going to need a device that's going to be able to hear that's going to be able to get the Genlock. So Blackmagic's working on, I think that, you would need a dock initially to get the time code in. So I think that's what the dock would be for. So, and again, what you're also seeing is this close relationship between Apple and Blackmagic, where, some of the stuff is getting solved by Blackmagic in places where it seems like Apple has there's certain parts of that pro camera pipeline that Apple's happy to have Blackmagic work on, as opposed to them worrying about it. So the Blackmagic,
they even mentioned the Blackmagic camera app,
because it is the one that takes, it. Other than, I don't know if they've changed the app. I haven't seen them add spatial to the Blackmagic camera app, but outside of that, it is the most full featured, that you have on the phone. And so if you want something easy, you want to pick it up and just start shooting video, you're probably just going to use the Apple version. There's a Kino is one that's in between. But the Blackmagic one is where you really have all the dials and everything else that you would need to shoot. So that's where, again, it's way more complicated than the market that Apple goes towards. So it makes sense to let Blackmagic do it, and it's free. Like they're giving,
right?
And the Blackmagic camera, by the way, when you have the immersive camera, I was borrowing the immersive camera a couple weeks ago, and I borrowed again next week. When you have the immersive camera, the Blackmagic camera on your phone can control the Blackmagic Ursa cameras. So the immersive camera, I can hit stop and record. I can change settings, everything else. It goes into kind of a control mode, which is kind of a crazy thing in itself.
What do you think Apple sees as the market for this? It's not obviously Danny Boyle.
Well, you have a lot of creators. So
they
Kodak,
did call them out.
So so Kodak when they were doing film, they gave film away to a lot of the big filmmakers. And so they were giving them film, like, here's all the film you need to shoot your movie. They still had to buy the film to do the distribution, but they got all the film they needed to shoot their movie if you're a big filmmaker, because Kodak was selling film to everybody else. And so, the idea is that there's an aspirational mechanism. When someone is going to be a creator on YouTube, they're going to think about, what is the best phone that I can have that's going to let me create great content.
Yeah.
And so, what you don't want to say is, oh, this is just for creators. Then they feel like they're just this is for the kids. This is a filmmaking device. And the reality is it's putting in big boy tools. I mean, with ACES, with the time code, with the Genlock, with the, being able to record log, being able to do, Apple RAW. It is adding things where you can really do serious production, but it also is a nod to the creators are going to look at it, and aspirationally, this makes sense for them to get, quote unquote, the best camera. And it really is. The problem with Samsung is that they don't really understand how to save files. And so when we get, Samsung can have a great camera, but what it records to drive is junk. And it's super hard to work with. So one of the other things you saw here is broadcast formats. You have all this. So Apple is talking to professionals about what those cameras have that they want if they're going to shoot a small commercial, a documentary. One of the things about this is you go into a country that is adversarial and you want to shoot a documentary. You're getting to a point where, like, I used to not take big cameras into some of the countries that I've worked in because I didn't want to explain them, but now it's just my phone, and I'm able to shoot really, really high quality footage. And so there's a lot of advantages. Again, it's light. It's when I shot, I've shot a couple of concerts for my daughter's, one of her bands, and I've shot a lot of it with the iPhone because, a big old camera is weird and it's big and it gets a lot of attention and it's bulky, and the iPhone works great. So that's the real the advantage for that. So I think that it's aspirationally pushing it forward, but I also think we're barreling down a place where people are, especially for content for the web content, smaller screen content, even potentially bigger screen content. I've taken spatial content from the iPhone and projected it on big theaters.
Image stabilization probably helps a lot for that as well.
Yeah, and Apple has the opportunity. I don't know what Apple's going to do about frame rate, but it's really interesting that they keep on talking about 120 frames a second. So we mostly think about 120 frames per second as a slow motion tool, but with ProMotion, with a lot of support. Like, let's see what happens with Apple TV. If Apple TV suddenly says, oh, by the way, we're now using the newest HDMI format, and your Apple TV will support 120 frames a second. You have all these phones that can shoot 120 frame per second Dolby Vision that's in the phone. And what's interesting about that is that you can't shoot that almost anywhere else. So the phone becomes a content creation device that is paired up with a lot of the Apple's other devices and doing something that almost none of the cameras out there can do. So I think that there's some really interesting, like, they have the ability to build, as they build towards this, of creating an ecosystem that is difficult. And what happens is if people start watching their home videos shot at really high quality at 120 frames per second on their on their Apple TV, because all your TVs can do 120. Like, anything you bought in the last 5 years will do 120 frames a second. It's mostly who makes the content to go onto those. And when they get used to that for reality stuff, I'm not talking about film. Film makes sense at 2398 or 24 frames a second. But when you're shooting your home videos and everything else, you get used to 120 frames per second. And I can tell you, as someone who does a lot of 120, the lower frame rates start looking really chunky. Like, I just see your brain starts to tune to it, and it starts going, like, even a big pan in most films, I'll see frame.
What's ACES?
That is the color. That is the
Color correction?
It is it's a it's a color standard, cinematography standard that says, okay, if we all support the same standard, we can get in and out of different color spaces accurately. And so the ACES color format means that you're now in a color standard that is going to that is supported, in Resolve and many other things, but it's all part of it's a Hollywood standard for color. And I say kind of standard because people shoot all kinds of stuff, but ACES really makes it easier for you to make the color process more predictable. And what's really interesting about it is that the phone right now is one of the most accurate color space, color screens that I have. I mean, you can spend a lot of money. You're going to spend $5,000-$10,000 on a color correct monitor. And if you don't have that, though, the next best thing is to look at it on your phone. Like it's like not very high res, not very big. But if you want to know, like, how is the color looking, a lot of times, if I'm not going to have a really expensive color correct monitor, I'm going to look at my phone and say, okay, what does that actually look like? If I turn off all the settings, what does that look like? And I'm probably pretty close to what I need.
Yeah. You've got me thinking just quickly that this is all really impressive and really great stuff for professionals, but most of the people buying this, they want a camera that will take really, really great photos of their grandkids or when their kids are playing softball or whatever. I'm starting to wonder if when they're doing these presentations, these keynotes, they're not really telling these people that all the stuff, the phone that you will have with you when the best moments of your life happen, this is your greatest chance of getting a beautiful picture of that by spending so much time talking about, well, now that we've shot this entire presentation with our pro videos, and here's a gen locking, and here's ProRes, where's that, like the general consumers don't understand. I do remember a time when they did just say, we got skin tones are much, much better. Our low light performance, because you're not always taking pictures. Sometimes you're taking pictures at a party where the lights are low or a restaurant where the lights are low. Don't worry, we got your back there. I just wish they start to they go back to that a little bit.
It does all that, like that.
Yeah,
like
that's not the main message.
It's really good at that. And the issue is that they're playing to a place that the other manufacturers, whether it's Google or Samsung, what Apple is doing is not only useful for filmmakers. It's really hard. It's really hard to do what they're doing, to be able to save. And what Apple likes to do is let's go down a path and educate people to what they're doing and why it makes a difference, so that they look at the other options as kind of like toys, and so, because the thing is that what Apple does by having ACES, by having Genlock, by having these things, it makes anybody who, again, people buy Jeeps, they're not going to always go off-roading, and so the thing is that when they're buying the camera and they, the geek, if you're a geek that's buying the camera and you want to talk about what it is, the formats that it's saving in, the color space that it's supporting, the frame rates, all of these things, for some people, I think a sizable number of the target audience for this phone, it invalidates Google and Samsung's phones because they can't save anything that's worthwhile. And so, and that's unless you're doing,
it's a strange messaging though, because Mike and I are watching it and we're thinking, well, who is this Genlock aimed at? Yeah. Who do they think they're going to sell these things to?
Again, I think that I think we'll wait until the accessories come out. So that's part of it.
No, I don't think so. But maybe it does give you the feeling that, well, I don't know what that is, but it must be good.
But Genlock is not just between the phones. Genlock is also connecting it to other camera systems. So I want to use a little camera system with bigger camera systems. I want to have a lot of those other things.
This is smaller than the 1% of the people buying iPhones. It's a tiny fraction.
Smaller than 1% of someone who buys a Jeep is going to take it out into the mud. Like they stay pretty clean. I'm in Marin, man. It's like,
well, that's what I'm saying is that somehow this must communicate to normies like me
that it's,
well, I don't know what ProRes log is, but it must be good.
All I'm saying is stuff like, whereas all the stuff that Apple puts in its keynotes that are real, again, super technical, super impressive, and I'm sure contribute to great snapshots for just casual photographers. Meanwhile, Google has stuff that, oh yeah, remember how like you were taking pictures of your kid playing baseball, but there was this wire fence between you and that. Just type in, just use the keyboard and say, please remove the wire fence, and it will remove the wire fence from this picture.
Or the camera coach, where you don't know what you're doing, but we can help you.
Yeah, and
it's the exact opposite end of the spectrum.
But I think that the creator market, which I think is the primary market for a pro, is the creator market is because the only creators that I see regularly shooting with an Android phone are people who are paid to shoot with an Android phone, or they're trying to make it like everybody else is on iPhones, you know, and so Apple,
or a better camera,
or a Canon, or a Sony.
But I'm saying, but if they're on a phone, if they're shooting with a phone, they are using an iPhone, and
the chances are they're not. They're shooting with an FX3.
No, I mean, like, look, you look at TikTok. I mean, TikTok is a pretty phone-driven system. You know, TikTok.
My son never used a camera phone once in his videos.
I don't. Once. I mean, there's a lot of tools in some of these apps and so on and so forth on the phone that makes it. You can obviously. I mean,
Jason Snell is in our Discord. Maybe that look I gave him.
Yeah,
maybe.
So, but I think anyway. So I think I think that there is a pretty large market for people who want to be able to shoot content and use their phone to do that. Again, I've had situations where I had a whole camera system go down, pretty big event. And while we were bringing it back up, we had to do a red carpet. And I just took my phone out and shot the red carpet with a stabilizer, brought it back in, dumped it off the phone. And no one knew no one knew while we were getting everything back up that was coming off of a phone, you know, but I think that there's a lot of creators that are they want to hang on to that market, because it's not just that it's not just that they're creating content with it or they're selling to the creators. There's a glow when you see the creators using those phones, and when their followers see them using those things, there's a glow to that also sells phones.
Right.
Fair.
They have offered an API for a dual capture a couple of versions ago. In fact, Filmic Pro made a app that would use
an app specific for it, yeah.
But now they've surfaced it in their own camera app.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit.
That? What's that?
You know,
for?
if you're doing interviews, so it's for people who want to do. they show kind of an odd use case for it. But if you want to do interviews and be able to cut back and forth between the two folks,
so it doesn't have to be embedded in the video. You can have two video streams, basically.
Well, the way the API worked, at least, I don't know if that's how it looks there, but the way the API worked is you get two separate files. So that way.
No, that's different. That makes sense. Yeah. So I'm interviewing you, and I can cut to me, and I can cut to you.
So it's like a really camera
shoot
case
with one phone.
Yeah, exactly. A tiny little kit that fits in your.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think too, though, Leo, we have to look back again to what I was saying earlier, which is that folks who are 5-6 years younger than me already love to use FaceTime to communicate with one another. So think about when your friend isn't available, you are out camping and you want to show how you're reacting to this moment as you're walking around. And then you get to send that video later to all your friends if it is embedded. Like, that's a common thing that
they show it as if it was
people.
Embedded.
Yeah.
It was like
and I think
grandpa at a baseball game or something. I can't remember.
Right. And you get to see the person, and their reaction stuff is big. You want to see how so I think either way, having each of them independently, but also that, I think, is the place to have it together, where you can say, I'm out here doing this thing. Look around. Can you see everything? Wow. Look at me. I'm looking excited. All
right. Final thoughts, everybody, because we're going to wrap it up. Unless Jason Snell wants to come in here and say something. I don't think he does. Anything we're missing? Anything that you thought was big that we didn't talk about? What are you most excited about? Micah?
Very excited about the AirPods Pro 3.
What are you buying? There? I guess I should ask. Which of these things are you buying?
My personal bank account has bought the AirPods Pro 3.
Yes.
The iPhone Pro.
I think we buy you the iPhone, right?
Yeah, I will be getting. I will just get. I'm not going to get Cosmic Orange. I'm
getting orange.
Yeah, I'll leave that to you.
That put me over the top. I wasn't going to buy a new phone. I told you guys, tie me to the mast.
Yeah.
and you didn't.
And
so
I
think I like the orange. I kind of like it. I think it'd be
but cool. Nothing else here is speaking to me or I need or anything like that. So AirPods
I was able
Pro
to get
3
a good trade in on my Ultra 2. If I hadn't gotten $335 on the Ultra 2, I don't know if I'd buy the new Ultra 3. But boy, that makes it, every 2 years.
It just didn't feel like enough of an upgrade this year.
Yeah.
But
and I think the simultaneous translation is great, but you don't need to buy new AirPods for that. So
correct.
Alex, you're not buying anything.
I'm gonna get the phone.
Yeah,
the phone.
Which
there's
one?
Enough. This 17 Pro at max.
Go.
Like I got the.
It's the Asus that sold you, isn't it?
Well, the Asus has been there. But the being able to shoot the broadcast formats, having for me, I'm the guy that I am the guy that phone was designed for.
Yeah, that's clear.
Yes. So I'll it's got the frame rates, it's got the gen log time code, like all of those things. Having 48 megapixels, I skipped last year, so it's a little easier for me. It's not like I'm going from 16. If I was at a 16, I'd be like, like the only thing that I'm really missing is I was really hoping to see spatial go to 4K 60. Like that's the thing that probably another year before that happens. But
they didn't talk about spatial at all, did they?
No.
Yeah, they've left that out. It looks like because I don't think because they didn't update it. Right. But I think that 4K 60 spatial, as someone who uses a Vision Pro, would be fun.
And are you going to go with raspberry red, lemon yellow, or orange? Oh no, I'm sorry, those are free.
I get the same thing, the darkest, blandest version of
deep
everything.
Blue.
The deep blue is probably what I'll end up doing.
Do not look at my expensive phone too closely, people. This is just I assure you this is a Samsung A20 series cheap phone and a mid-range case.
It's what the marketing department uses, not what the production part.
Yeah.
There's a very heavy culture in production of dark, muted, cool colors.
Yeah.
so
I want orange, and I'm not putting a case on that baby. And I'm going to have orange icons. It's going to be orange all the way around.
All orange.
Orange is the new black. Andy, what are you excited about? Anything that we didn't mention or that you want to emphasize?
Nothing I'm particularly excited about. I didn't come away thinking that next year when I buy a new flagship phone, God, I can't wait to see what the iPhone 18 is going to be like. Although it's going to be definitely worth taking a look at. This is one of those events where I found the event itself, like how they crafted the messaging, what points they made sure they repeated in product after product after product, how they decided to start off the messaging, how they decided to end the messaging. I thought that was very interesting. I thought this was a very nicely cohesive. They didn't have anything for the first major new design of a phone in years, the Air. I was surprised that it all just seemed like, here's the stuff that we're making this year. We have not done anything that's sort of breakthrough-ish. They're just trying to say that this is what the Apple brand is related to or associated with. Really great engineering, really great physical product design, and now we can actually give you bright colors. Well, that in itself was worth a trip.
Do you guys want to do picks, or should we forget?
I've got no pick.
I got no pick.
I have a tip, not a pick, so I'm good.
Tip is good. I'll take it. All right, let's take a little break. We'll wrap it up. There are a bunch of other news stories that we didn't talk about because of the event, but so maybe we'll give you a little potpourri, a salad of other stories when we continue. You're watching MacBreak Weekly with Andy Ihnatko, Alex Lindsay, Micah Sargent filling in for Jason Snell, and Jason's in the Club Twit Disco, just hanging out.
He misses us. That's great. I love that.
He did. That was nice. All right, no picks this week because I tell you what my pick is. I'm going to get the AirPods update. Why not? I'm going to get the Ultra Watch, and I'm going to get the orange. I thought I wasn't going to get anything, but sigh. Instagram is coming to the iPad.
They finally figured out how to make an iPad app. Good for them after 10 years.
You know what? I had a theory about this, that this is in response to the rumored folding phone next year.
Oh, that's a good guess.
That maybe they thought, maybe we should probably make a larger format version of Instagram and get ready. Not wait till next September, but get ready for it. I mean, because otherwise it's really the same.
Yeah,
it doesn't change anything.
It's
that's
weird.
the thing. It's not quite the same, right? It's they have made the focus of the iPad version the Reels portion of the app.
That's true. You go right to Reels instead of to stills, don't you?
Yes.
And the comments are visible on the right, so you can keep them open if you want. I guess that's a change.
Yeah. Which I mean, in that case, I understand that makes it feel like they're using the screen that's there, the screen availability.
Yeah, but the images themselves aren't any bigger, right?
I think it was more I think you might be right, honestly, because I kind of wondered what's the reason for doing it at this point.
And with iPad OS 26, it didn't matter because you have Windows now. So anyway, it's a little late, but I think it's going after the folding phone. And by the way, that's probably the point of the Slim too. This is the beginning of the folding phone.
I just decided that I don't need to have a Meta app on one of my most popular devices. It's fine. Bad enough I have it on my phone because a lot of the people that I interact with have great stuff on Instagram, and a lot of artists I like are on Instagram. Yeah. I'll make that sacrifice, but maybe I don't need to have it on my iPad.
Adobe is going to put Premiere on the iPhone as a free app.
I think Adobe's still trying to figure that out. Like how to get into that market. I mean, there are definitely the higher end social folks are using Premiere for some of the stuff that they're doing. But I think that in general, Adobe had Adobe Rush that didn't go anywhere. And so I think that I think they're trying to figure out. I think Rush they charge. I think people are all afraid of what comes next with Adobe. I think that's the hard part. Eventually they're going to pay a subscription. And so I think that's the hard process.
It's hard to invest into anything Adobe does because at some point they're going to squeeze you.
Yeah.
There was a vulnerability disclosed that allowed Keychain and the iOS app to be decrypted without the password.
Cool. Love that.
Good. This was announced at NullCon Berlin. CVE 2025-24204. It allows attackers to read the memory of any process, even with system integrity protection enabled. Now, I'm not expert enough to, validate this, but it sounds bad. Apple removed the entitlement in Mac OS 15.3. So it sounds like it's been patched.
Yeah. And this is why the sell by date of your phone and iPad and Mac actually do matter. Like it's great that they make this hardware that actually lasts 10 years. And but at the time which Apple stops patching things because it's a 10-year-old device or a 5-year-old device, not that you're a particularly ripe target as an owner of if you're still using a MacBook that's 6 years old, maybe you don't have enough Bitcoin to make a hack on your device worth the effort. But nonetheless, that means you're not getting these updates.
How did we feel when we've commented a little bit about this, about Tim Cook? I mean, he joined all the biggest executives in tech, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, and on and on and on. The only people who weren't at the president's tech dinner this week was Elon Musk.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Check must have bounced.
Yeah. It was one of those places like cabinet meetings where it seemed de rigueur to offer the president unfettered praise. Yeah. Cook said, "I want to thank you for setting the tone such that we could make a major investment in the United States."
He thanked him 8 or 9 times during a 2-minute talk.
Kept saying thank you.
That's why it's like this was technically a dinner, but it really was, let's have all the richest and most powerful tech people in the world spend 2 minutes each thanking the president, saying thank you for your leadership, thank you for your insight, thank you for your courage, thank you for this. Ugh. It was, I mean, it's the fact that this was not the most embarrassing thing that Tim Cook has done in public this year says a lot about what he's been doing.
Well, and also he was not alone, unfortunately.
Of course, no. Again, it's
probably the most telling moment was the hot mic moment where Mark Zuckerberg, after announcing we're going to invest $600 billion into the United States, leaned over to the president and says, "Is that the number you wanted me to say?
Exactly.
Is that right? Is that what you wanted me to say?" It's clearly, it's performative. But you know what? You'd have to be naive to not understand that everything companies have been doing all along is performative.
Yes.
Their DEI initiatives were performative. They were so quick to drop them the minute it wasn't, fashionable. It's all about making more money, and I guess we shouldn't be surprised. By the way, not only Elon Musk, but Jeff Bezos and Jensen Huang from NVIDIA were not there. Interesting. I'm not sure. And
soccer practice.
You can't. Yeah, soccer practice. I have to wash my hair. You can't really blame them. they're doing what they need to do.
You
as
don't have to blame them,
CEOs.
but you have to hold them accountable as well. This is not
Right.
they're savvy enough to understand that video that's being released to the press pool of all these incredibly important and wealthy and successful person basically thanking and kissing the boot of the president, that has a value that is not going to be, that a lot of people who feel as though they've been negatively affected by the policies and the dogma of this administration, that it's going to affect those people. And we're not, again, we don't necessarily have to blame them, but that doesn't mean we don't hold Tim Cook accountable for going full bore into this. And yeah, so I'm going to shut up because we're close to the end of the show.
Emmy Awards are in a couple of weeks, but there's so many of them and so many categories. They actually start the awards season a couple of weeks early. The Creative Arts Emmy Awards gave Apple 15 wins Saturday night. 15, including the studio, which got 9 wins. That's the Seth Rogen send up of Hollywood. That was the most ever Creative Arts Emmy Award wins for comedy, including Bryan Cranston, who was very funny in the studio, I must admit. Severance got 6 wins, including an outstanding guest actress for Merritt Weaver. She had a small role, but that was a good role. There's Bryan Cranston, who was hysterical as the studio owner, who got wasted at the Comic-Con. If you haven't seen the studio, that episode.
And it's common to get the studio is the kind of thing that, because it's being voted on by people that are in the industry.
Oh yeah, they love it.
They're going to get all the inside jokes.
Yeah,
a lot of us have talked about them. Like, oh yeah, we've been there.
Yeah.
A lot of us have seen that meeting, like we've been in that meeting or been yelled at that way, or all that stuff.
The Primetime Emmy Awards are September 14th. That's the important awards, the big awards. But okay, congratulations to Apple for winning so many, and the Severance certainly deserves them. I think also Slow Horses also got some, didn't they, or did they not?
Yeah, 20.
Certainly in your heart, they did.
In my heart, outstanding drama series nominations: Severance, Slow Horses. For comedy, studio, and shrinking, those are nominations. They had 81 nominations for Apple TV
and this
Plus.
This is they can't. Apple TV Plus can't deliver audiences the way that a lot of the platforms can, but they can deliver. Hey, you're going to be doing great. You're going to be able to do great work with not as much interference as you're getting from other places, and we will deliver you those Emmys, those awards that will
that's
let you,
important.
That will let you get the
right?
actors you want, let you get the directors you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it does, like talking to folks that have worked on Apple projects. They're just like it's kind of intoxicating for them to be able to be in it. Like Apple's spending less on total films, but they're not spending less when they're actually doing the show. And just saying, hey, it'd be really good if we had this one extra thing or whatever. And there's no fight with the producer or the studio. They just like that $100,000 is spent. like how do we make this a great, and they say that every time you leave you work on an Apple show and then you go back to working on everybody else's shows and you're like, oh, like this is hard. So and I think Apple's doing that part right, as far as they may not be producing as much, they may not have as many people watching it, but it gives you a place, if you're a good director or a good, it gives you a place where you're not going to feel like the studio cut all your wings while you were trying to, you hear so many, like the classic one is Forrest Gump, that they ran out of money and it turned out to work out in Tom Hanks' favor. But they had to split the cost of the jog across the country because they paid for it out of their own salaries to get that done.
Wow.
And now he ended up making $40 million on that because they got extra points on the film instead. So
it was it was a good investment.
It's a good story. It's a good story. But the point is that there's all this, like the studio told us we couldn't spend money on this, and the studio told us we couldn't do this, and we're way over budget. And you just don't have that. I'm not saying you have no conversations, but talking to people, they're like, I haven't seen that conversation yet. It might be happening closed doors, but usually you hear people complaining about it in person, and I think that's why Apple keeps on winning these awards, is because they're giving talented people the resources they need to produce good work.
Back in 1983, Steve Hayden was a copywriter for the legendary ad company Chiat Day. Steve Jobs came to Chiat Day, told the agency he wanted a commercial for the Macintosh that would stop the world in its tracks. The creative team brainstormed about a theme surrounding 1984. Given this is a quote from Steve Hayden in an oral interview he gave the New York Times last year about the making of the commercial. Given the sunny good nature of the average person, wouldn't this be a great tool to rebel against government overreach, especially in parts of the world where news is suppressed, manipulated, or so tightly controlled it was useless to people? There wasn't a lot of copy. In fact, I think there was only one line in the whole ad.
Yeah.
This January, what was it? Apple will show you why 1984 won't be like 1984, or something like that.
Big Brother has some lines. There's also the cry of effort from the sledgehammer thrower. But
the lines are mostly unintelligible.
The thing that sells the product is just, and he doesn't even mention doesn't even like say why this is going to be. Is Macintosh a new type of insulated hoodie?
We didn't know. We hadn't seen.
Is it a tire, all-weather tire? Yeah.
Steve Hayden, the writer behind that commercial, passed away this week at the age of 78. One of the greatest commercials of all time. Credit to Ridley Scott, the director, for giving it that great atmospheric.
It's a little Ridley Scott.
Just a little Ridley Scott in there.
By the way, this is when we were talking about the filmmaking. This is this is that dock we were talking that's neat.
Oh,
so this is the Blackmagic dock.
It's only $300,
but it's got extra USBs.
Leo, do not
your
buy
time
it.
code.
I'm going to buy it because I need Genlock for my production.
HDMI out power that you could that you can use a more traditional power source for. It's definitely not something that Leo needs, but something that
would
Alex
it go
will.
with my small rig screen that I know?
I was going to say that's a great too. Hey, a lot of people have a screen on a professional screen on their phone, but I got a screen and Genlock. So
what does it plug in with? I couldn't see.
It plugs in with a USB-C. So it's basically USB-C into it. So you have just
you can get video out of it. Could it go to a hard drive then?
You could go to a hard drive out of one of these USB-Cs. You could have an audio interface. You have HDMI out. You have your.
Pretty much does everything you need.
Anthony, you might want that.
A lot of us have a bunch of different little things that haven't been as expensive. They've been $80 or $90 or whatever that are our interfaces, and this one is a step above that. And so
it's got Genlock.
It's got
Genlock.
It's got a lot of. A more standard power source makes it a lot easier for us to power it up. So
no, it'll sell at $300. It'll sell a few of them. I think
everyone who buys it buys the phone for Genlock will buy it.
Yeah, you need it.
Yeah.
All 54. This is the final story as we wrap this up. This Andy was your pick, and I'm going to steal it. All 54 lost click wheel iPod games have now been preserved for posterity.
Yep.
Thank goodness.
Whoa, there's Sonic the Hedgehog. Must have been something playing that game on an iPod. But all you had to do is go backward and forward, and I guess jump. So, it's perfect for the click wheel.
I love the fact that for every mutt in a shelter, there is someone who wants that mutt and loves that mutt. And the fact that the community realized that, here's a whole catalog of games that is going to disappear because you couldn't, nobody was able to get the actual digital files, and also the device that actually runs them doesn't exist anymore. This concerted project to get a platform to get access to this code and actually get it running on a simulacrum of the original iPod. Game, software, everything. These are all creative things. These are all works of creation. And as soon as a work of creation, whether it's a movie, a piece of art, a piece of music, disappears for good because no one remembered it, that's us being lessened as a culture a little bit. And so I'm so glad there are people who wanted to save these things and make sure that they actually work.
It's the iPod Clickwheel Games Preservation Project on GitHub. You do need, iPod not provided, so you need a 5th generation or later iPod Classic or an iPod Nano 3G or 4G, or a 5th generation iPod Nano with black borders because the screen is too large. I have some iPod Classics that I freed from my mom's possession. I gave her 3 back in the day, and we would trade. I would put books on them and then send it to her.
Nice.
And she would send the old one back, and I'd put a new book. And I have them somewhere. I hope I didn't give them away, because that'd be kind of fun to play these old games. Anyway, I'm sure it's completely illegal. I don't know.
They did have to break the DRM on it in order to get this to work. So that was
well, we know that's illegal according to the DMCA. So there you go. I won't say any names. Andrew Anatko, thank you so much. That was a good pick. I appreciate it. And I stole it from you.
No worries.
We will see you next week. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
In the library. Anatko on Blue Sky, IHNATKO. Alex Lindsay is at officehours.global. His coverage, actually, you weren't there, but the coverage that Office Hours did of the Apple event is available on the YouTube channel, yes?
Nope. It's all private. So like yours, you have to be there in Zoom to watch it. But I did get the first video done for the OH Global Dash Immersive on YouTube. So if you want to see a little bit of behind the scenes of me scrolling over, I have a hard time with trying to do like super finished videos because I get caught up in like wanting to re-edit it. So it's an actual presentation that I capture. It for some reason it works for me, and I do it here. So I just made it public. It's been up there for a little bit, but
good. Okay.
But anyway, you'll see me talking about it, and as you watch it, I scroll. There you go, me drawing on it with my little.
And you're getting the second loan of it.
I'm getting it back. So I'm gonna do more of these videos. So this is the first one. There's like 4 more videos coming pretty quickly. And then I'm going to be shooting some more next week. So
nice.
Should be fun.
Oh, interocular distance. I can see it.
Yeah.
Interaxial.
About how the interaxial interacts with the interocular.
Oh.
So that's kind of but it's all done if you're watching it, it's all done in Keynote because I'm really comfortable in Keynote. So the whole video is done in Keynote. So it's
that's awesome.
So like even that little like animation of that coming in, it's just Keynote. Like
awesome.
If I get into the editing thing, I get locked up and I will spend way too much time editing it. So forcing myself to just do a presentation is more straightforward. It seems more straightforward, except that I do it 20 times.
YouTube.com, search for OH Global Dash Immersive, and you can watch the video. Thank you, Alex.
Yep.
And Micah, thanks so much. You've been here all morning since 10 a.m.
Hanging
Micah
out
Sargent,
with you.
So glad to have you. Filling in for Jason Snell. Micah does so many shows on Twit. He is he's my right hand. iOS Today, Hands on Tech, Hands on Apple. And
Tech
of course,
News
Tech News Weekly Thursday. What you going to cover?
Well, we are probably going to cover the stuff that didn't get announced at the event would be one of the things. So anything between now and Thursday we learn.
Stuff that was missing. Yes.
Yes. As well as, we'll see what the stories of the week end up being. I'm always looking
we don't
forward to that
know
surprise.
often on Tuesday. I mean, things happen between Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah. Twit.tv/TNW. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Thanks to our Club Twit members who made our coverage of the keynote possible. In fact, make everything possible. If you're not a member, please join the club. We want to have you. Twit.tv/Club Twit. We do MacBreak Weekly every Tuesday. We were a little late today because we had a little thing with Apple going on. Don't expect to see that Apple coverage, by the way, on our regular feeds. You have to be in the club. It's on the Twit Plus feed only. But of course, this show appears not only live when we do it, normally 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC of a Tuesday. We stream it live in the Discord for club members, but also YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick. So you can watch there, chat with us there. After the fact, on-demand versions of the show are available at our website. There's audio and video at twit.tv/MBW. There's video on the YouTube channel dedicated to MacBreak Weekly, a great way to share clips with friends. If there's something you saw or you wanted to tell somebody, hey, look, you should get this watch or whatever, those clips are easy to do on YouTube. And of course, everybody can see something on YouTube. Best way to get the show, I think, probably subscribe in your favorite podcast client. And if you do that, do us a favor and leave us a 5-star review. Tell the world about MacBreak Weekly. If you are a club member, or even if you're not and you want to know what's coming up this week and every week on Twit, don't forget to subscribe to our free newsletter, twit.tv/newsletter. Ty puts that together every week, and it's a great way to find out what's coming up. I'll tell you what's coming up next. Steve Gibson, if you're watching live, Security Now, running a little bit late because of the Apple event, but we're going to get to him soon. Meanwhile, for the rest of you, it is my sad and solemn, and yet I think important duty to tell you, get back to work. Break time's over. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Twit, your tech hub for intelligent, thoughtful conversations. If you want to take your experience to the next level and support what we do here at Twit, say goodbye to ads and say hello to Club Twit. With Club Twit, you unlock all our shows ad-free. You also get exclusive members-only content. We do a lot of great programming just for the club members. You also get behind-the-scenes access with our Twit Plus bonus feed and live video streams while we're recording. And don't forget the fantastic members-only Discord. It's where passionate tech fans like you and me hang out, swap ideas, and connect directly with all of our hosts. It's my favorite social network. I think you'll like it too. Club Twit. It's not just a subscription. It's how you support what we do and become part of the Twit family. Your membership directly supports the network, helping us stay independent and keep making the shows you love. If you're ready to upgrade your tech podcast experience, head to twit.tv/clubtwit and join us today. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the club.